Hello and welcome to another episode of the Captain's Table Podcast.
Where am I?
My name is Paul Berserker01, Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender here at the AstroPub. Am I loud suddenly?
Stop looking at my skirt, Darsh.
Anywho, welcome. My name is Paul Berserker01, Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender here at the AstroPub, your professor on the Astro Historian and your facilitator here on the Captain's Table Podcast. This is coming out to you via the YouTube. If you are watching this after the fact on YouTube or watching this live on YouTube, make sure that you check us out at the Captain's Table Podcast on YouTube. The link should be in the description for those of you watching this live. I'm slowly going to be moving over this series, this podcast, to being live on that channel as well. But I need to build up the audience there, make sure people are watching, make sure people are, commenting and subscribing. We got a good, healthy right now, a good amount. We're a little over 460 subscribers on that one. The goal is to get about, 1,000 subscribers before we get all that kind of stuff. So, and we're also on Spotify. So look up the Captain's Table Podcast on Spotify. Make sure you check us out. Make sure you leave a rating and a review. I'm going to try to push that a little bit more. That goes up. The full podcast goes up. The After Dark section and the regular section, they get combined together and they get released on Mondays at 10 a.m. Eastern. So you can listen to that. With that all being said, let's get started by introducing the cast for today, starting with the Space Coder. Who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen, and where can they find you?
Oh, hello, citizens. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I am the Space Coder. I guess I do everything now because I'm a content creator. I have a YouTube channel. I have a podcast, so I stream. And I have not one, but two community tools that are going to help you be a better citizen. Number one, the Armory for all your FPS gear needs. And number two, the Hauler for those of you who like to deliver boxes in the verse. It uses math, not AI, to make your hauling faster. Trust me. And you can find all of my stuff somewhere on the link below this if Paul puts it there.
I will put it there. I should put that there right now so I actually have it there. Because I have the wrong cast.
I think we lost Darsh.
At Oop. And then JRDF Design. Nope, that's not it.
Awkward silence.
Axis.
While the host is typing.
Yeah, I'm trying to type things in real quickly, waiting for Darsh to come back. 296. There we go.
I'm just lurking here.
Yeah, you're all your camera's
for my internet.
Oh, your internet.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll skip you for now, Darsh, and I'll go to Axis. Axis, who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen, and where can they find you?
07 everyone, my name is Axis 0096. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, good. I am your resident explorer, hopefully construction foreman in the coming months and years. And, host of my channel, Axis 0096 on YouTube. And I'm 3 other places. YouTube, Twitch, Kick, and Rumble. And it's A096 on Kick, Axis 0096X on Rumble, and, lowercase Axis 0096 on Twitch and uppercase on Twitch. I'm going to have to remember that next time because...
Okay, awesome.
You need to work on your branding. That's all I'll say.
I did actually tried to get uppercase on Kick. It wouldn't let me. Someone stole it.
Darsh, who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen, and where can I find you?
Hello, I'm Darj, nay Darionator. That's a joke that like 2 people was gonna understand in this chat. I am Darionator everywhere, if you just want to look me up. But primarily, right, these days, I am the lead modeler at jrdf.sc. your one-stop shop for all your kit model needs. That's something exciting's happening on Coramore or Valentine's Day. So pay attention to that. Basically, we're launching the Raven finally.
Yay!
And somewhat about 30 pre-orders that already came in or have already been delivered, and we'll be opening the stock and the shelves to everyone come Valentine's Day. Also, hopefully at the same time, also opening up the EU shop. Unfortunately, there won't be any Ravens there. There's just a limited stock of other kits and dioramas, but Ravens are still in active production, so I don't have any of them just yet.
Okay.
Bless you.
Yes, I've been a
but
long
other
time
than
supporter
that,
of JRDF, so I love the models and everything like that as a hobbyist. So.
Yes. Yeah, and the Raven's a very nice one. But other than that, I am here to kick ass and make sandwiches. However, I don't have access to any facilities to research and produce said sandwiches. But I believe that's what we're here to talk about today.
Yes, we're here to talk about producing and researching sandwiches. I really hope that CIG can make sandwich.
Could go for a sandwich.
All right, let's start with. We're gonna do some bouncing around here because of this. I'm gonna start with you, Darj. So the question, the topic that at hand, you see it in the title, which is, does base building belong in Star Citizen? Because there has been discussions that I've seen people say that base building doesn't belong in Star Citizen and it's going to ruin the experience of Star Citizen. People saying that this is turning Star Citizen into Rust or to Ark, and that it's ruining the sort of space exploration and space combat and the sort of like space opera experience that Star Citizen was trying to build. So I'll start with you, Darj, because before we can even get to that discussion, what is base building in Star Citizen to you? So when you hear the word base building, what are you thinking? So we can be all on the same page of like what base building is.
Well, I'm gonna start differently. It's like whose idea of Star Citizen are we talking about here? Some random backers who came on the project like 4 years ago, or are we talking Chris Roberts' idea of Star Citizen, who has been dreaming about this since he was 16 and working at Origin?
I mean, that's a good point, but the question is more based around the idea of, because I think a lot of folks, when they see or hear base building, they're thinking of other games that have base building, and those games tend to be focused on survival, which is something that Chris Roberts said explicitly at the beginning of the whole project, that he didn't want to create a survival game. And so
this is true, but you don't have to have base building just to have survival.
Exactly. But that's why I'm going to say we need to define what base building means.
Yeah.
You know,
what was that Star Wars game where you could build your own
Star Wars Galaxies?
Base?
Yeah.
Galaxies. Was that a survival game? Or
No.
was that just basically just Star Wars space opera? Yeah, of course. I feel like at heart, Star Citizen is not going to change just because people will gain the ability to put down roots if they want to, or create facilities where they can start participating in the economy by becoming the greatest producers of sandwiches in this system. I'll have you know. But yeah, I think that like the core of Star Citizen is still going to be like the whole thing, just reaching for the stars. Just base building just lets you create stepping stones, I suppose, on that journey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you see
outposts, refineries, refueling bases. Like you could have, a ship outfitting base, like on the edge of explored space, for other people, to have their last port of call before they go out into the unknown. And that's just going to be super cool because it's not going to be something that CIG thought of putting in that location, to guide everybody. It's some guy or some gal or other decided to say, I like the space, I'm gonna put up my quasi Cryastro here,
Okay.
so people can use it. Why
So-
not?
So you see it more as like you said a stepping stone. So sort of like an assist to the other gameplay loops. It's less of its own
Yeah,
gameplay loops and sort of
definitely.
like a supporting feature.
Exactly, yeah. That's because we've had survival aspects in Star Citizen for quite a while now, and they have been, if anything, benign. They're there just to remind you that even your own body is a system that you need to take care of, but it's not something like in game like Raft, where you need to eat every 15 seconds, otherwise you starve to death. You know, it's not an integral mechanic to push it to make you keep playing. It's not there isn't a grind attached to the survival, which is stuff like games like that are adhering to.
Okay.
So yeah,
Axis.
that's my position on it.
Same question for you. What is base building to you?
Similar answers. Main reason because, and someone in the comments, Jenna, basically says it enables many gaming loops. It also adds to them. Like if you have a mining outpost, where are you going to store stuff while you wait for transports to take your goods to refineries? Say you don't have a refinery on site. What are you going to do about, storing minerals while you're your static mining operations running? You're not just going to let it keep going because you'll damage your facilities that way. You're going to have somewhere to offload your materials, be it for liquid materials or raw materials like rocks and stuff. I mean, I know a little bit about this being semi-acquainted with geology. When you dig up stuff, you have to have somewhere to store it before you cart it off to a furnace to be smelted, like metals and stuff. You have to have excavators. You have to have trucks. Like in the case of the Argo trucks we have, the builder truck, we have the other truck, the cargo truck unit that came out that acts as an intermediary between whatever raw materials you put in it and it travels to the work site. So,
all right. Space Coder, your thoughts. What is base building?
Well, I think, for me, I look at it in two levels. Number one, it allows you to set up a base of operations in an area, however temporary or permanent. Let's say, you go to a system, you want to stay there, you want to mine, there is some resource you want to exploit, or maybe you're supporting some combat operations there. You build up a little base so you can repair, rearm, respawn. And two, as an extension of that, it gives individuals and groups the ability and the tools to extend control over certain areas or over certain resources, because we know that we're going to have that faction power play meta mechanic going on eventually in the future, whenever that happens.
Yeah.
Exploitation citizen, yes.
Well, it's based on late stage capitalism, so
yeah. So let's move on to the to the next question, which I have, which has to do with what are some of the pitfalls that CIG could fall into with base building that you would like them to kind of avoid? What are some of the issues that might come up with base building specifically? And I'll start with you on this one, Space Coder.
Well, so the thing that jumps out at me immediately is there's however many million players in the verse. Let's say half of them want to build some kind of a base. There's not enough room. There's just not enough room. No matter how small the plots are, I'm assuming, people or CIG will want to have some separation between
The plots.
individual people's bases. So, you can't, it's unclaimed land, but there is a however many kilometer buffer zone between the plots that you can claim. I don't know.
Teacher,
The math
teacher,
is not mathing.
Yes, Darsh.
Teacher, I did the math. I did the math for every player if they want a plot. Just one of the moons in Stanton is big enough to house everyone with no one seeing each other's plot beyond the horizon.
I'm gonna need to see that spreadsheet, sir.
I kind of, but you also got to remember, and I think this is also where Space Coder is starting at. CIG also needs places so they can put stuff in the future.
Yeah,
like abandoned outposts and abandoned research facilities and all these other things. So they're going to have areas which they even said are protected zones.
Yeah,
so
that's kind
you
of where I'm
can't-
starting off at, because I think they want to have space instead of what you see in No Man's Sky, where if you fly 2 minutes in either direction, there's going to be 10 points of interest, or 10 different bases, or 10 different settlements. And my second concern is, how are they going to clean up the abandoned bases? Because eventually, people are going to settle somewhere and they're going to abandon because they stop playing, or
they messed up somewhere, and they're like, I'll start off of somewhere else with my friends or whatever, or consolidated, or
obviously in those lawful areas, you're not going to be paying your taxes, so that's, I'm assuming, going to clean up the base automatically. But if you go to like that complete lawless area where there's no taxes, and if you have abandoned the base, there is nothing of value for someone to take away, then it's just going to be there. And yes, I agree, coders are traditionally bad at math. So yes, and confirm, I am very bad at math. That's why I am a software developer in finance, no less.
Well, you just have to make sure the math works. You don't actually do the math.
Yeah.
You don't need to understand it. You just have to know how to implement it. It's sorcery. It's fine.
Darsh, same question to you. What are some of the traps that CIG could fall into, or some of the problems they may face?
Right. So first off, I would just want to attach to the previous comment. So that is a hypothetical moon with a perfectly flat surface and no other intended points of interest. Yeah. So the usable surface area of a moon still is reduced, but it's still huge. So maybe 2 or 3 moons is all you would need. But if you spread that out to all the system that we're going to have, I think we'll have enough, especially because not a lot of people will want to settle down in gravity, and just build an asteroid base. And asteroid belts are levels of what's the phrase? Orders of magnitude larger than moons in terms of available space. So yeah, I want to say there's enough space. In terms of what sort of pitfalls CAG can fall into, I don't want the base building to be too granular.
Okay.
I don't want it to be a grind. I don't want there, to have like I'm gonna put this kind of wall on this side, and then I put this sort of wall with a window over here on this side, and then the roof is gonna be like this on this side, and then on this side is gonna be a completely different kind of roof.
So you don't want like the rust or like arc style like building.
It's or the forest or something like that. I like the idea of just having prefabs. That you can purchase, basically, or plans for prefabs that you can purchase, and then it'll just be built for you. Just because, if you base it on modules or just standalone buildings, it maintains a sort of design cohesiveness that CIG is very keen on. Even though they want to give the players full power, I don't think they would be very happy to see someone, thousands of penis-shaped buildings across the verse, because that's exactly what the players are gonna do. I mean, even the towns are gonna be penis-shaped. Come on, it's just gonna happen.
You also have honeycomb situation, wherein in like Rust and Arc and in 2 Degrees DayZ, the best way of building a base is not to make a base that's aesthetically pleasing. It's to make a base that has got so many levels and walls that it requires way too many resources to break into. You basically make a base so convoluted it looks like the Winchester Mystery House, like something that just doors that lead into doors, lead into doors, lead into doors, and it's just like all the way around to make it as painful and slow as possible to try to break in and take stuff, and that's not fun. It's boring design. So,
well, I like that sort of customization because I like designing my own things. For a game like Star Citizen, I think that it would be pushing it too far, just because you get too bogged down on the minutia of creating a building without because creating if you have to build it, it may not work on anywhere other than one gravity, one atmosphere built for humans sort of situations, right? So you kind of have to rely on prefabs. It just makes sort of sense in the game that we're playing. And prefabs also create more freedom when it comes to what sort of types of buildings that you want to make, just because that is part of the design spec. Like you can have landing pads that will work as a landing pad as soon as you put it down, or a refinery that's going to work properly as a refinery as soon as you put it down. You don't have to fiddle with it. You don't have to engineer it yourself and stuff like that. Again, great systems, can be done with those sort of not limitation, but with that sort of constraints, but not in Star Citizen, I want to say. So I hope that they stick to the broad strokes when it comes to base building instead of super fine details.
Okay. Axis, same question to you. What are some pitfalls, some issues that CIG might run into when designing base building?
Well, remember, we're just getting the initial base building. What I'm worried is with the initial rollout. Now, this is for totally different direction than the other two guys here. They're going to limit what you can build compared to what players are expecting. Kind of a curb your enthusiasm type moment. But hear me out. We had this happen with Salvage, remember? Salvage was supposed to be this big, huge rigmarole, and they're still having to implement things, and I understand that, but there were a lot of people very disappointed with how Salvage was portrayed initially, and then when it arrived, they're like, this isn't very different, or it's Power Scrubber Simulator or something like that.
It's called agile development. This is standard practice.
Yeah.
I don't speak for them. I take what I can get.
I will say one of the things that I'm concerned about is specifically how they're going to deal with base raids, but also base how to put this the right way?
Abandonment?
Not abandonment. Abandonment is one of my concerns, but it's more of like a base persistence. Because what's going to happen when bases first come out? Almost certainly, everyone is going to try to build a base because it's the new shiny. Everyone wants to do it. And so you're going to have...
Do you think they'll come online with Maelstrom, though?
Possibly. Almost certainly. But that means that, like, day one, the servers are going to implode. Because...
Like they're doing now.
Yeah. Like they're doing now, and you don't want them to do that with your new shiny material. So like how are they going to manage this sort of gigantic increase of assets of entities which are going to be spawned in, and then having to be rendered consistently, and when everyone is going to be doing it, that's a thing. It's like, so CIG is going to have probably some brakes on it. There's probably going to be some requirements before you can even do it in the first place, which I think is going to rub people the wrong way. if you come out and say you can't build even though the base building's here until you go get X, and X is a building permit or, you know, something else, some other sort of mission-based activity, gamers are going to get
or reputation-based, because reputation is like
Yeah.
the most
We
broken
love
things about the
bureaucracy.
game right now.
We need more bureaucracy.
We
in these
do,
games.
but-
CIG loves time sinks. Bureaucracy is the perfect time sink.
I love me some forms signed in triplicate. You know, that's
Exactly.
that's
Why did I just get the flashback of that Asterisk movie? You know the one I'm talking about, right?
yeah.
Space Coder. Where when they're in Rome, and then you have to go
Right.
get like a permit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So like, but I mean, like that's going to be obviously an issue. So that's definitely a big pitfall they're going to run into, is that how do you deal with an increased amount of information coming out while also encouraging players to play your game and test it? And then what's going to happen between, say, let's say it comes out, you know, in 4.3. If it comes out, the first version comes out in 4.3, what's going to happen in 4.4? Are they going to reset all of the bases? Or are they going to let you keep those spaces there even longer? And then are we going to wait until a big reset happens with bases? And so like...
Well, currently the way they're doing resets is even going from one patch to another is that they're not resetting everything, are they? It's like...
No, they're not resetting everything. They don't want to reset everything.
Yeah.
And that's my problem, is that
Exactly.
like I feel like they're gonna have to with base building until they have an idea of like how base building is going to function better. They're gonna have to like reset the base builds, and I think that's gonna also piss people off, because think
of
like,
it from the
hours.
perspective of now, you know, like a few months into a patch running, you will go to a landing zone or a station, and there's boxes of medical gowns everywhere. There's empty bottles everywhere.
That was on who was it? A friend of mine, another streamer from Oklahoma. He made this comment, Midnight Wolf. He
Mhm.
made this comment about all the abandoned garbage on either Salty Mike, no, his morphologist video, and he shouted him out. He's like, I gotta agree with this. This abandoning crap in like the flight path, you know, to hangars and stuff, it's
Mhm.
getting kind of ridiculous. There needs to be a system to kind of cull a lot of that. And I'm
There
inclined
needs to be like
agree.
a core of janitors, both FPS and ship, that we're gonna go
And-
around and clean up stuff. Yeah, they
Yeah.
could be based in Slovenia, called the Dark Janitors. I don't know.
But I mean, you get my point, right? Like there's like, if you,
Yeah.
because you know what the players are going to do. Some players are going to try to rebuild the Taj Mahal out of these damn things. You know, to try to they're going to be doing some crazy stuff with it, because this is Star Citizen, and people will do this crazy stuff, especially if it's an alpha and, you know, things are going to get changed around and such. But like, this is going to impact performance unless they set some limits to it in some way, shape, or form. And I think that is also a pitfall, because without setting that expectation ahead of time, people are going to go, oh, base building's released. I'm going to go build a base, and it's not going to be wiped for another 2 years until they reach 1.0, or, you know, 6 years when they reach 1.0. And then they'll find out, like, no, it's getting wiped two weeks afterwards because of a bug. And then people baby rage, you know, like they do the gamer rage. And like, so there are definitely some issues I can see with base building as it's being implemented, because I don't know if CIG fully has those ideas yet. So,
CIG having a complete idea of what they are doing and all the implications.
impossible.
Has that ever happened? It's gonna go like this. I'm gonna make a video about this is gonna be a problem. CIG are gonna say, no, that's not gonna be a problem. Fast forward 3 years, it's a problem.
Yeah.
I bring it up
That
every
is-
show. I said this about ship paints,
Uh-huh.
and it's a problem now, and they admitted it, and I was right, and y'all were wrong.
Is your channel name I Told You So? .se?
Not yet, but the name change coming soon.
By the way, Paul, there's something I promised to chat I would do, because you forgot to turn off sounds in the pre stream. So let's see if I can do this properly. This is for Iris, by the way.
Okay.
Genesis.
There we go. Perfect.
There we go.
I didn't forget to turn off.
Spend their
Yeah.
spend their hard-earned points on that, and it didn't play. So there you go.
I do that intentionally to trap them so that they don't play that over again. If you don't know what we're talking about, watch my office hours live streams. That is emotes, voice emote spams or audio emote spams has become a thing. So, all right. So we've talked about some of the pitfalls.
Basically, when Paul goes away for like 10 minutes to go to the bathroom or something, I turn on emote only chat, and chat just spams voice redeems. So.
It's so bad that, like, you know how like YouTube doesn't catch it unless it's like 30 seconds long or more? These clips are like less than 5 seconds, and they spam the, I have a Braveheart freedom where like he's screaming freedom. Yeah. And they spam it so much.
Requested it now, yeah.
They spammed it.
Unfortunately, I don't have the orchestral background to it, or else I would do it. You know, it just feels like I'm not putting, you know, all the energy I could into it if I didn't have that to back me up.
They've spammed it so much that the YouTube copyright bots catch exactly what it is. They know exactly what it is and keep claiming it every single time. It's like,
I mean, you added it. I mean,
I
you
did.
have the power to remove it.
Yeah, but there would be a riot if I removed it.
Yeah.
All right. So we've talked about what base building is. We've talked about what base building, like some of the downsides of base building. So what are some of the advantages? What does CIG get when they add base building? What are the things that what are the advantages to the average player that base building exists? I'll start with you, Axis, on this one.
Well, you get a staging area for your org,
Okay.
depending on if you have a big enough area, because we know some super orgs are huge. You get
I have no idea what
everything
you're talking
from a local meetup for your friends to that's how I should have phrased it, to a staging area for your org. If you have the huge land claim that was available at the dawn of time and not available anymore, you have your own private mining area, provided mining nodes are anywhere in that 8-kilometer space. So, got to remember things do shift around. So,
yeah. Darsh, what are your thoughts? Like, what does base building add to the game?
Creates points of interest that CIG is way too busy to implement themselves in a universe that is going to become so big that people just can't comprehend how big it's actually going to be. Like I said, like staging areas, refueling stations, you know. Actually, you know, I've changed my mind. I don't want a sandwich shop. I want the diner from Spaceballs. You know the one?
Yes.
Space soup and a space special.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that sort of stuff. It's like you're going to create point of interest and content that are just organically going to grow, and you know organizations are going to work with other organizations to create networks, and it's going to fill out the universe.
Okay.
And CIG is not going to have to do anything. If they give the power to the people, which is great, we're going to do it for them. Okay. And yeah, that's the biggest upside that I feel that base building is going to create.
Space Cutter, same question.
First of all, I have no idea who these super orgs you're talking about are. Never heard of them. I resent the accusation.
Yeah. You're not a major officer in one or anything like that, you know?
No. Definitely not. No such thing happening here. Second, you know, for the players, it's good because you have a place that is your own, either as an individual or as a group with your friends or with your org. And I think a lot of people have this drive to like have something that's their own, done their way and for themselves. And that's okay. That's just basic human psychology. And for CIG, this is great because if you have a base or a big base, you now have an incentive to stay in place. And you're not going to go around blowing through all the content and all the locations and then pestering CIG to make more.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, so what I'm hearing from a lot of you, and this is going to be a follow-up question to this, and I'll start with you based on the Space Coder. Is this a org Is this an org thing? Does this only exist for orgs?
No.
No.
Because
Or at least if CIG
everything I
do
just
this
heard,
properly.
everything I just heard from y'all say is like it's a staging base for friends and org. It's an org base for manufacturing. It's a place for, like, all I'm hearing is orgs.
There's so many people that just want to put down roots. It's like
Mhm.
it's like I don't know what it's like in over there in the States, but like in Europe, a lot of people don't own just one item of property. They have the home, and then they have a cottage somewhere
Mhm.
on a lake or up in the mountains, or
Y'all
where
can
the
afford
vineyard
that?
is.
I was about to say, like, I was gonna say,
It's-
Europe
it's
is a
fucking-
different world where you can own property. Suddenly, you know.
It's fucking tiny. Is what
Yeah.
it is, and yeah, current generation not so much. It's something you inherit.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I own property and the bank robs me every month for me to keep the property.
Yeah, this is true. No, but what I'm saying is like there are going to be so many places where single individuals are just going to put up a fishing shack, or somewhere where the view is too good to pass up, and you
Okay.
just want to go there, every once in a while just to unwind. Why
So
not?
One thing I'm curious about
Mhm.
regarding, how the AI has advanced, somebody kind of hinted at that in, I think it's Dragon Wolf. I want to kind of elaborate a little bit further. We're supposed to have AI wandering planets eventually.
At some point, yeah.
I wonder if we have like an open door policy settlement, if we would be able to tax AI that would reside in our settlement, like a mayor or something.
So,
Very
like,
much like
You
SimCity or
you want to be
Civilization.
a landlord?
He wants Mandalords. He wants Mandalord Star
No,
Citizen.
no, no, no.
Star-Lord.
So what I'm saying is, we may not always be able to be
Star-Lord's no way, that's a thing.
online, but it's very like a full scale like civilization.
So
simulator.
you're saying you're like using AI to help protect and maintain an area where it's not just for one person, but it might be for a group that you gathered.
Yeah, like in a region, you're not. What's the word I'm looking for? You're like near an already established NPC area, like a UGF or something like a small town. They wander over. They work. Say it's a mine. They work in your mine. You pay them their wages. They go on their way, right?
Mhm.
So, I don't know if they're going to go with that level of intricacy, but you never know.
Mhm.
The longevity of this project, we could see some really incredible developments in the
So
AI.
on that, I recently learned that
2955, basically.
Yeah.
I recently learned that as a matter of fact, I don't have a master's degree in software engineering. I have a master's degree in economics.
Okay. Hey. I should say, hey, fellow depressed person. Hey, welcome.
Yeah.
The dreary science strikes again.
And while the idea of star taxes excites me immensely, I don't want this. Like this is gonna be very, very, very insane and very difficult. And I would like this, but I don't want this. I don't want CIG. I don't want some poor bastard CIG to learn how this works and do it.
Oh God.
What sort of level do you think the VAT stand-in is going to be, though?
It'll depend. The VAT is going to be depending on the each of the locations. So you're going to have different tax rates depending on the jurisdiction you're in. So you're going to have to calculate that already.
Well, there's going to be UEE taxes if you're in the UEE, right?
Yeah,
So-
and then you also have planetary taxes. So you also have to be paying. So you have two different levels of taxes on top of that, plus local taxes if there's a local independent like.
Well, I mean, if there are going to be UEE taxes, I'm going to be asking the.
Shut up! Taxation is not theft. Taxation without representation is theft. But taxation itself pays for your police force, your firefighters, your medical. Oh yeah, you don't know about that, but here in Europe, taxes actually
Pay for those things. Actually pay for
no, you
things.
see, if
I'd love for
taxes
those
are going to
things.
be the thing in the UEE, I'm going to go to the UEE IRS and I'm going to ask them the same question I ask people at payroll at my work, and it's like, can I claim my cat as a dependent?
And by that he means caterpillar,
Can I
right?
claim my copian as a dependent?
No, his caterpillar.
Yeah.
Perfectly legitimate question. My cat
requires
is my
me.
baby.
Yeah.
I house her and I feed her and I take her to the doctor. I think that counts as a dependent.
Yeah.
So Space Coder, like, is this for solo players at all? Like you said, yes. Why do you think this is for solo players?
If CAG do this correctly, so I believe base building should be sort of available at all levels. Like if you want to have a homestead in Pyro, you should be able to do that. If you and your group want to have a base of operations for, I don't know, you want a mining and refining outpost, and you want to mine resources that you found in an area, you should be able to do that, with 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 people.
Mhm.
And if you happen to be the member of a mega org and you want to create a massive base with shipyards, you should also be able to do that. And I'm reminded by my senior director right now that apparently that falls under my division, and it's apparently my problem.
So regardless of CIG intends certain aspects of base building to fall under not single player, but one player purview or organization purview, you guys know that there is going to be one dude, and it's going to be a guy because anybody else is not that stupid, that's going to go through the entire tech tree solo to build a station with a shipyard and build a bangle.
Yep.
I hope he's got like 8 hands.
That's implied in the he's multi-boxing on 20 alt accounts.
Yeah.
To farm the resources and the research on this.
Yes, and he's and his name is
Dr. Octavius.
I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it because it's mean.
No, it's apparently it's gin and tonic. So
it's gin and tonic. Gin and tonic.
Volunteering.
I was gonna say it's Cutlet, and his name is Space Cutlet.
That's a deep cut. I haven't heard that name in a while.
Just because it's like if there's one person I can figure out who can break the game in a way that can make it work for him, it's Space Cutlet. He has discovered more ways of pirating than CIG has ever thought existed. So, but yeah. No.
Speaking of names I haven't heard in a while, where's Mayonnaise asking me how much my drink costs?
That's a good question. Yeah, where's Mayo? I will say that I think I would like it to be a soloable pit, because I think the majority of the gameplay associated with it is going to be with orgs, but the orgs themselves aren't required for it. However, I do think that there is going to be gameplay that's locked off for base building without an org, because as you said, there is going to be some mad lad who's building the whole tech tree and doing everything himself. But most people won't, because CIG, at least in their presentation of it, seems like they're very much like, it's going to require a village to raise this family, to raise this child, of this planet, of this base, because you're going to need a lot of folks with different specialties to be able to do those things, because it's going to be very difficult to specialize in everything, which I do think is good. Because what that does is it forces players to diversify or to rely on other people. Because I hate, someone who plays a lot of survival games, I absolutely hate when you have to bum rush the tech tree to get the best gear, and people will just find out the most meta way of optimizing the tech tree, and it's like, but this is supposed to be a survival game. We're supposed to help with each other, and you're not supposed to be able to build an AK-47 out of a box of nails. This doesn't make a lot of sense. One person shouldn't be able to do all this.
Yeah. What do you mean I cannot build a Kalashnikov out of a box of nails? My grandfather taught me this.
Yeah. Well, yours would. Yeah, yours would. No, but I hope that the atmosphere in terms of like the entire tech tree that it's created is one of cooperation, because I don't want to have to know, like have to have 3 levels in sidearms and 5 levels in whatever, just to build my sandwich empire.
Yeah.
I would just want to have the sandwich stuff, the bread and the cheese and the meat, and and that's about it.
Yeah.
But yes, so specialization is something that should be encouraged, and you should be able to use the entire universe at your disposal to get there, to help you with other aspects of base building. Like maybe I don't even want to build my own base.
No.
Maybe I want to hire someone to build my base.
There's actually whole orgs that want to go around building bases
For people.
with pioneers and stuff. And it actually sounds like a good idea, because who's gonna just drop $900 right now?
Yeah. Or even like, because you can imagine getting a pioneer in game is going to be very difficult to do. It's not going to be a simple, easy thing. It's already super expensive out of game, so it's going to be super expensive in game to acquire. And can you imagine trying to solo level yourself up to getting not only the pioneer, but possibly even the reputation that you need to even get the tech specs to be able to get the blueprints to be able to build a base with a pioneer?
Yeah, it's like but not just that, like to get the blueprints to build the higher tier bases.
Yeah.
And the research facilities, like it's gonna have to be a tier 5 sandwich research facility for me. It's like I'm not gonna settle for anything else. Like someone's gonna have to do that.
The best research, the best sandwich research money can buy.
Exactly.
One thing you're not mentioning about for individual players is base building, even a small one, gives them a place to expand their inventory without going into a major landing zone,
which everyone wants. Yeah. But
basically everybody has a set inventory cap on their armor, their backpacks, and their armor pieces. So by even remotely having some sort of internal storage, it gets you away from the city and waiting for queues and stuff, assuming they do it the first time, even this year.
Yeah.
This could literally change the game, even for the individual player, massively.
Giving them more of a place to dump stuff, Now,
yeah, and separate it. Yeah.
Let's talk about the stuff that's sort of connected to it, but also separate from it, because you bring that up as a good point, because I want to talk about things like apartment buildings or other ways of acquiring a residence that doesn't involve base building. Does that itself, because it's something that CIG wants to do and has talked about, it's one of the reasons why the dynamic building interior technology is being developed. Does that kind of complement, or does that sort of clash with the idea of base building?
I want to say compliment, and I'm going to get back to that after I get my refills. So,
okay.
Do continue.
Space Coder, what do you think? Do you think it's something that is connected to base building, or is it something that is specifically like that kind of competes with it in terms of player attention or player agency?
I think it complements it, because especially when you start building bigger bases, and let's assume NPC crew, let's call it crew for a base, exists. You're going to need facilities to house that NPC crew on that facility. But also, if you want, if you have especially big org base, you're probably going to have people, like players, stationed there for some amount of time to do something. Either they're doing some research or they're building something in there. And you're going to need an apartment and some food facilities and that kind of stuff for that person to log off for the night, to get some food for their character. And, I think in that way, you're going to have org bases that are going to have, an apartment complex attached to them, or like a barrack. And depending on the quality of that accommodation, like if it's a barrack, yeah, maybe you don't, because they talked about penalties for a character if you're not resting in the right environment. I don't know if that got slashed already. But maybe if it's a barrack, then yeah, your character is not as fast, your skills are deteriorating. But if it's an apartment building, it's nice. There is a gym. You're not losing your skills that fast. Could be, definitely an interesting way to play Sims in Star Citizen.
I mean, it's kind of where they're moving towards. Axis, what do you think? Do you think apartments and that sort of pre-made player housing in landing zones, do you think that is sort of defeats the purpose of base building, or do you think it complements it?
It complements it, and also it's in dire need of a revision at the moment. Remember, before 4.0 went online, we were at 110 players per cap?
Something like that, yeah. It's 100. Yeah.
And then before that, we were set up for 50 player. Mm-hmm. Right now, it's hard for people to log in. We have queues to even get into our apartments. Mm-hmm. So I hate to say it, but right now, one of the reasons why we won't expect base building immediately is because they need to redo the landing zones a little bit by putting in more apartments. Because we only have one in each major landing zone, and it's kind of bottlenecking people into getting into the landing zone. Well, while that may be a good thing, the game is the player population is starting to outgrow the infrastructure of the actual game itself.
Well, it's the apartments that are the problem. When you think about Orison, I think it's 12 floors and it's like 6 apartments per floor. So that's like 60 plus people. I'm not very good at math that can log 72. In at one point. Yeah, but there's only one elevator.
Yeah.
That all of those people have to wait on, and elevators never work.
And if they do work and everyone piles into one, you kill at least one person in that elevator. So,
I'm surprised nobody's put a post.
CIG needs to nerf elevators and stairs.
What we need are slides or firefighter poles.
And it's also important to remember that those apartments we have now are not your apartment. You spawn in and you leave.
No, that's a hotel.
Yeah, that's a hotel basically. Yeah. And you don't even get it's not like a hotel because you can't even go back. Once you leave, you're done. So
right.
So yeah, I mean that's a good point, which is like you're talking about how like the infrastructure right now is already stretched because it's not built to handle the player base it's experiencing, especially in Stanton. So, it can help relieve that infrastructure problem alongside base building, which will also do the same thing because it'll move people away from the main cities and into like remote areas where they're not having to overload the login queue for that.
That's why I kind of think both base building and the expansion of the internals of the city are kind of complementary because it opens out not only the interior of the city for more players to come in, but what do you do with more of those players as it continues to grow? You build other places outside the main hubs that they can log into in addition, because it further expands the web. It's actually
that
pretty
would require
smart.
more public transport. There's no budget for more public transport right now.
That was in last year's work. So what happened to that, CIG? We need answers.
They did talk about that at one point with an underground rail system that would run between the different locations. So
the underground rail system in Orison,
yeah. You could still see shuttles or something like that going to the different platforms because they already have that infrastructure set up because they have platforms, and you don't need a transportation system in Orison because you can just land at the platform. They just need some way of storing the ship when you land. You go to a place that has
and also as you approach, you need permission. Like an approach corridor, and
yes,
they try that. It didn't go well.
I think they can bring it back. I've been saying it's going to come back at some point, anyways, because it's going to be needed.
They need to.
Yeah,
they need to bring it back, maybe a little bit better than the first time.
Yes,
I liked it.
Yeah,
I like the idea of it. Just the execution was lacking.
Yeah,
There's some vestiges of it as you approach the jump point, because only when you're approaching the jump point and you have the quantum drive on, do you see the augmented reality approach corridor. But if you veer from it, it doesn't, autopilot control you and take you back on it. That part, I believe, I think at least is something that they need to work on. But the actual visuals and actual idea of it is sound.
Yeah.
So especially when you're approaching, it's easier now. But there was a big the long time when you were approaching spaceports and you had no idea where they were.
Yeah.
Right.
That was the problem. They wouldn't show up on your HUD, and it would be difficult to find them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now you have a giant blinking light. That helps.
Yeah. So now they have like Area 18 has like a huge tower of lights that extends up into the past the clouds to guide you in.
Cuban talks about it's like you don't want the freedom to move out of the corridor, though. Yeah, I think you should have the freedom to move out of the corridor, but there should also be consequences for moving out of the corridor.
Yes.
Like, especially in places where it's like more high traffic, it's like you move back in the corridor, we're going to shoot you, because we think you're deviating.
The issue was that it was really dumb the way it did it, because it stopped you, it turned you around, and then it drove you into a building.
Yeah.
Instead of just slightly nudging you back towards the area you were supposed to be in.
Similar to
like self-driving lane correction is these days.
Or like kind of like how they have jump points where like you can't control the speed, but you're going in one direction, you kind of maneuver. It's something like where they would lock you into a speed, you go into the location and you can like veer here and there once you've locked into the corridor, but you're not going to be able to go like, wee, it'll just be like, nope, you're going to have to come back to the center sort of thing.
Yeah. It's just the way the game guides you back is what was fault.
That was the problem. Yeah. It was the overcorrection. So ask the same question for you, Darj, and then I'm going to use a restroom quickly, which is, do you think the apartments are complementary, or do you think they clash against base building, the concept of base building, since they're both player housing?
Yeah. Like I said before, complementary, just because every location that I visit semi-frequently, I don't want to build my own thing at. I would be perfectly happy with an existing location or infrastructure to just be there and allow me to utilize it and pay rent for it, even though I'm not there every day. Fine, because that's just how it is in the real world. You pay for hotels, motels, infrastructure is there to be used. It's not someone's private plaything when you go into a city. Paul's not here to
Star Citizen rent control when.
Oh no! What is it? What was it? What's the thing that's very popular in Florida? Not co-location. Yeah, it's basically co-location, but not for servers.
Timeshares.
What's the thing called? Timeshares. Yeah, timeshares. Yeah.
All right. All right. So I'm going to the very last question that I have.
We're more or less on time today.
Yeah. This is the question, the main question.
Oh shit! I need to stretch that out.
We'll move on to the question answer session, so it's not too long. But the main question I have for you is base building good for Star Citizen? Does this improve the game? Does it add something to the game that would improve the game's experience? I'll start with you, Space Coder.
That's a tough question. I'm gonna say yes.
Okay.
But that's coming from a place of me as a person who likes building in games and as an industrial player mostly. And like I want to build a factory. Like I played too much Satisfactory. I want to build factories now. As a thing,
the plague of my YouTube subscription feed, not subscription, but like my home feed, is Satisfactory videos.
Yeah, and
never
it kind
watched
of gives
a single video. I've never showed any interest in the game. I know it's fun. It can be fun. Not for me. I click do not recommend channel, do not recommend, I don't like the video, but every couple of weeks it's back. It's like it's just like it's like a tick I can't get rid of. Sorry.
YouTube algorithm is trolling you. I like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it gives a sort of a productive time sink to the player where, oh well, yeah, I don't want to do the storyline. I don't really want to do like any of the missions. But hey, I have some credits. I have some materials stored away, and I have a claim beacon. So I'm gonna go ahead and build myself a little cottage, get something growing, maybe get a refinery in there. It's gonna get me my own fabricator in there. So now I don't have to use the communal one anymore. So no longer waiting in a queue for a fabricator at the R&R. And I think a lot of people are going to do that. And at the same time, I don't think it detracts anything from the game because you can opt out of this.
Okay.
If you're not interested in building, you're okay with using community facilities or... Yeah. So, you can just ignore it. Would I rather CIG make the game work? Yes, but I'm assuming I haven't been able to log in like 2 weeks. So
Are you stuck in Orison?
No. I'm not even at Orison. I logged into Area 18. I did 2 hauling missions, and now I can't log in anymore. That's
one thing that I've seen fixes it for people is logging on to someone like a friend that has a successful connection, because your connection somehow is broken and it keeps forcing you to a shard that doesn't exist anymore.
I might try that. That's a good one.
I've also
found, assuming that CIG are gonna do the same, like they're gonna do new features and playability at the same time. They certainly have enough developers for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's sort of a segue or shameless plug. I'm gonna have a video about this on Monday because I decided to talk about testing and explain to people how testing works in software.
Nice. Okay, good. Go watch that. It's the Space Coder, right? On YouTube.
The Space Coder on YouTube.
Yeah.
This week I did a thing about murder hobos.
Nice.
The comments are. Go read the comments. The comments are great.
You want to tell me about the comments? I made the most I did the YouTube thing, and I thought, okay, what's the most controversial title I could make something? And one of the last questions of the last Captain's Table was about Death of a Spaceman. So I made the title Death of a Spaceman. Well, Death of a Spaceman, is it good? And I called it Dead on Arrival ? And it worked. Lots of people clicked it, but the comments are like, everyone hates Death of a Spaceman if you read the comments, but it's like, I know that's not the case, but
Something I keep telling you, Paul, is you need to go through all your comments for the past year, like January 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2024, and you need to get the best comments, and then you need to make a video where you read
the comments,
the best, like the spiciest,
the spiciest, yes.
The whole video, it wasn't even like inflammatory. The idea wasn't to be controversial. I was just there's no law system and there's no long-term consequences. Once they are there, most of this is gonna fix itself. And the comments are just frustrating for me to read. But at the same time, I have to resist the urge to reply to about 90% of them. Thank you for the comment.
Yes.
Thank you for engaging with my video.
Yes.
That video is the best performing video on my channel in my entire time on YouTube in the first week. That video.
It be like that. It be like that.
It do be like that.
It be like that. Like you make something out of just I'll make this, and you take 20 minutes out of your day and do it, and then it becomes this huge big thing. You're like, I didn't even put
oddly
effort
enough,
into
I
it.
actually took care because I started writing it, and I just look at all the ideas, and it's like a 25-minute video.
But it's not something you're passionate about. It's not something that you're super interested in. It's just something that's just a topic, right?
Yeah, I just I like the idea of reputation and sort of consequences and law enforcement from a code perspective. So I didn't even talk about it. I was just talking about how these systems could work and what they could do. And it turned out in the 25-minute video, and People loved it. People hated it. People called me an idiot in the comments. People sent me death threats. It's all over the place.
All right, let's move on to them because we're almost done.
Don't send death threats, folks. Don't be that guy.
Don't be that guy. We have to turn you over to the authorities.
Yeah, please don't. Darj, I don't want to have to talk to a cop about some weird dude on the internet. It's, constantly threatening people.
Yeah, exactly.
Darsh, same question. Does base building belong in Star Citizen? Does it have a place there?
Well, didn't we? Was that the first question?
No, the first question was, what
is
is base building in the game?
Oh, right, yeah.
You tried to. You already answered it. Yeah.
But my answer. Yeah, but my answer is just tied to that one. Is like, yes, I do think it belongs in Star Citizen just because it's going to exponentially increase the network of points of interest that people will be able to go to, even if there's no marker for it, even if there's no mission to go there, to go somewhere. You'll be able to chance upon someone's little, bootstrap town that they've created. Just they can have the best view they possibly want, or just because they found that the Copions spawn very delicious meat at a particular part of the forest or whatever. But yeah, I think it does primarily just because it's going to fill the game with more content. Like half of it is going to be shit. It's going to be abandoned single, dwelling outposts until CIG creates abandoned outpost garbage collection. But, there's a good chance that half of it is going to be something interesting. So yeah,
legendary grade Copian steak confirmed.
And that is what my sandwich empire is going to be built on. God damn it.
Axis, same question. Do you think that base building has a place in Star Citizen? Is it good for Star Citizen?
Absolutely, if implemented right.
Okay.
That's the key. See, if it's... I want to say, if it's only limited to people with specific vehicles, that's going to miss a mark. Like, say, only Pioneer owners can use it initially. That's going to make a whole bunch of people at the low end of the spectrum angry. Accessibility is the first point. Second point is the land area thing. Sure, we're not going to have an issue with it at first, but once more people hear about this, they're going to probably come in for curiosity. And will the servers take it, even getting that many more new people into the game at all? The landing zones right now, like we were saying earlier, are kind of taffy pulled. So just imagine 3 times more people, 1,500 per server. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see where CIG takes server meshing at this point, because that is going to be a huge driving force behind just how many points of interest and how many buildings and how many people are going to be in a single area. Right now we have, I think in 4.0 we or is it 4.0.1 that we have a server per planet in Stanton and server per planet in Pyro. But that's just going to have to get a lot more granular when base building comes online, just because there's going to be so much more to keep track of.
Mm-hmm. I think
so many more objects per container.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the entity count.
Unless you make that many more containers. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look, there's gonna be a guy who has like 2,000 hours on Factorio or Space Engineers on Satisfactory, be like, so I built a base that can produce 10,000 arrows every hour.
He's going to exist.
Yeah.
I know at least 3 of them.
And one of them is on the show right now.
Yeah. The other one is gin. It's gin and tonic. Yeah. I will say, to answer the big question, I think it has a place. I'm still concerned it might have be a little bit too don't know if it's right. To
Is it not the right time? for it
gatekeeping.
yet?
I mean, like it can force people out of certain aspects of the game, because there's going to need to be a lot of things like for instance, fabrication. We don't have any. We have one ship that has a fabricator. Technically two, because if you look at the
Odyssey.
Reclaimer.
does Odyssey have a fabricator?
Reclaimer.
Reclaimer doesn't have a fabricator. It has a.
Also, you have the Pioneer. You got the Galaxy with the building module.
True.
Yeah. There's gonna be the Atlas
I mean
chassis
Galaxy,
building
yeah.
truck,
Yeah.
and there's gonna be the
But that's not
building
a
hover trolley. But that's not a fabricator. That's not a fabricator.
Yeah, it's not a fabricator. So like a fabricator it's on the Pioneer, it's on the Galaxy, and the Ironclad's going to have a version of it. But like, we don't know how many.
I think the first one that's coming is that like the hover cart. That is what they started their presentation.
I'm separating the fabrication from base building though, like because fabrication is like building ships.
But that lets you to
build
start base building and
base building, which is fine, which is good. But that means you have to build base building if you want to get access to a fabricator, which is one of the things I'm concerned about, because there may be these people who want to.
If you want to have
stuff.
like a huge fabricator, sure, you would need to start with base building.
So I would love to be the booze king of the Star Citizen universe. So just make really niche distilled spirits that I can then sell for money and for like novelty, right? You know, Dar's the sandwich king. I'm the like the whiskey king or whatever.
The Radagast Baron.
The Radagast Baron. There we go. But you know, I don't necessarily want to build a base. Right? A base would be nice, but I don't want to have to like build a base just so I can have a distillery so that I can make my booze. Could I be able to make it on my own? And this isn't about like what I want. It's just more of a that's where I can see that problem being, is that if you block out some element of the gameplay that has other ramifications, because you have to have a base for it.
But how would you do it otherwise? You'd need like a ship that can do it for you.
You'd need to have a ship to do it for you, which would be have to be accessible. And that's the only question I have is like
the Drake Cutlass Moonshine.
Yeah, the bootlegger.
No, because it's Drake. It would be Grog. It would be Moonshine.
True.
Moonshine's more like
the Origin liqueur.
Yeah.
The Drake Cutlass still.
The Origin cognac. Yeah. I mean, the Cutlass already has a bucket, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
Cutlass bucket. Yeah, there we go. But yeah,
no. So you would need a ship that has the fabricator. Like the Carrack has like a very small fabricator, at least in the maintenance room.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Galaxy is the one that. But the Galaxy is the base building one. There's no like pure fabrication. It's the only one that they confirmed is the Pioneer, and the Pioneer is a limited chassis ship. It's not even that it's expensive.
Well, they were talking about a fabricator module, and that's what everyone thought was and then they said that was the base building module. That was my theory was that originally fabrication was base building, and they were the same thing, and then at somewhere along the lines in the design documents they diverged. And so,
because a fabricator is a module that is either a standalone thing you can put on a ship, or is big enough that it's its own building. At which point you need to have base building to create it.
Yeah, but I think that initially the fabricator was just what they called base building, and then they was going to do base building and do like building other things, and then somewhere along the lines they had that split, which is where they had the confusion of like. You know, specifically saying the Galaxy can build bases, and then John Crew being like, "We never said that." And it's like, yes, you did. Your bosses did, and that's because
it was in the presentation. It was the hover cart, it was the Atlas chassis, it was the Galaxy, and then it was the Pioneer. That was in the animation.
But there was
Galaxy is definitely base building.
But then
that whole part with like it was the same thing, and then they had a look at the design document and it split. That gave me PTSD flashbacks to some meetings I had over the last month.
But you know what I'm saying? Like that's obviously
Because
the
that's
case.
exactly what happens. Is like if someone takes a look, like the PM, the project manager, or the product owner, they write a document like this is what the customer wants.
Mhm.
then the Scrum Master shows it to the developers, and the developers go like, "Heck no! Like that's 10,000 story points. It's gonna take us 5 years." And there's this like back and forth between the three sides of this conversation until they settle on something that's completely different than what was the original design. But it's only gonna take 2 weeks, and it might work eventionally. And then they forget to tell the dependencies projects on, and it's.
I want to say with all this, the split thing, maybe they decided to work on base building first, then fabricating items later. Because the only thing we can fabricate right now, short of boxes in salvage, are fuses, which is part of the engineering system, as we know.
And the multi-tool.
And the multi-tool, exactly. So we need some more information on that. And hoping in the next month or so, the next ISC, we get some sort of clarity on that. Because there's just, it seems kind of foggy right now. Are we going to just focus on base building this year as an add-on? Or are we going to get engineering? The three kind of seem kind of interrelated, some level of it, because when you base build, you're going to have to engineer power plants and stuff, and it's all three, they're all three interrelated. You have to fabricate your modules, fabricate your fuses for engineering your yeah.
And see, this sort of system is already way too complicated, which is why I wanted them not to take it further by actually being able to giving players the agency to design buildings as well, because they're not going to get it right.
No. And you're going to mess up. I always do that too. I mess up in a base and I go, I should have redone this, and you have to go back and destroy it if you want to. And a lot of people just abandon it.
And that's going to happen. That's going to happen just like because you find a place and you place your first building, and then you the fabricator, and then the power plant, and then you realize as you grow that your power plant and your base building are in the exact wrong place, and you have to tear them down, and then everything stops working because your initial base building was the brains of the entire operation, and it's just like
yeah.
It's called refactoring the build.
Yeah, but it's a pain in the ass, and so that's my only concern. I do think it has a space. I think the base building is a part of Star Citizen in a way that will be a part of Star Citizen in a way that will always feel like it should have been part of Star Citizen. The question I still have though is, I do not want base building to be a requirement for any other gameplay loops. It needs to be a add-on, not a requirement. So you need to be able to fabricate something in your own ship. You need to be able to refine things on your own ships and that kind of stuff. So, man, Darsh, you're doing a great job of drawing out this question. Well, that's it for the question and answers, or for the main discussions.
Darsh is just hell bent on me going past my bedtime. That's fine.
You're both in the same time zone.
Night.
No, Darsh is actually an hour behind me, I think.
Really?
Wait, you are where? You are where exactly?
I'm in Czech Republic, so I'm
the same time zone. Yeah, Central
Really?
European. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shouldn't you be in bed then? I should be.
The only two countries in Europe that aren't in the same Central European time zone are Portugal and Finland. So yeah.
Well, I guess Ukraine then.
No, Ukraine is Central European.
Okay, it's just the way that it gets dropped. Okay,
it's a fake time zone.
All right, y'all. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. Make sure you check out the Space Coder on YouTube, and of course check out the Armory. And what was the other one? It was the
Hauler.
The Hauler. applications. Make sure you check out JRDF to find Darsh's work. Fantastic work with modeling.
JRDF.sc. And I was wrong. Romania, Bulgaria, and Greece, apparently. What? That can't be right. Yeah. Greece?
What?
What?
No.
No. Hold on. We're not ending yet until we get to the bottom of this fucking question right now.
No, he's right. It's already half past midnight in Athens. What?
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 Okay. It doesn't make any
But it's the
sense.
same-
Learn this now.
What?
You're like half a day drive from Greece. How can you be in two different time zones?
Yeah, Romania, Bulgaria, Greece, Ukraine. Yeah, you're right. Ukraine,
Okay.
Belarus, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, Finland. Those are also 1 hour out.
Yeah.
Huh.
I am calling my EU representative. You're kicking out Greece. This is treason. Absolutely heretical.
All right, and then make sure you check out Access 096 on
We need
all
to
of
kick him out.
his
Also Hungary, but let's not get political.
his four channels. It's Kick, Rumble, YouTube, and Twitch. Right, Access?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I posted in.
There we go, in chat. So if you see that down in the chat, those are all of them. And of course, if you enjoyed this, please join us live at twitch.tv/TheAstroPub, youtube.com/TheAstroPub live. For now, you'll eventually be joining us on.
See, this is
The
well,
captain's
my
table.
camera
The camera just died. Yeah.
Yeah.
You will be able to in the future join us at the Captain's Table Podcast, youtube.com/the Captain's Table Podcast. If I can get that name, I probably can, or at the Captain's Table Podcast.
Is .podcast a TLD you can get?
Possibly. I'll have to take a look at it. That might be a good idea. And that's where this video is going live. So if you're watching this recorded after the fact, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe for more content, and hit the bell icon to be notified of release. As always, I want to hear your thoughts on anything we talked about down below. I do read all the comments. I may not respond to all of them, but I do read all of them. So I do like all of y'all's participation in the last one. It was did really, really well. And we're going to be rolling on to the next question and answer session. So with Space Coder Darge and Access 0096. So for those of you watching live, stick around. And for those of you watching the recording, you'll see this up in a couple of days. As always, also remember to join us on Spotify. And like I always say, hope to see you someday in the black.
Goodbye.
Like I said, chat, we're going to be right back. We're just getting something to drink and use. Now's the time to use the restroom and stuff like that as well if you need to, because we're going to be here for a little bit longer because we've got the question and answer session, the After Dark section. So
To make you a new overlay for that, it's like a dark mode version
maybe.
of...
Maybe. Maybe. We'll talk. And we're back with Captain's Table After Dark, or as Darge likes to say in his dark mode, After Darge. We've got reverse Darge going on.
After Darge. What?
Hold on.
And he broke it.
Yes.
Yeah, my granularity on my pitch dial isn't set right, so it's like nothing or max deep voice, and I don't like that. So just ruined my joke. So you ruined my joke before, and now I ruined my own joke. It's just like
one of those
days.
It's
not my night. It's one of those days.
Fired, both of you. Like effective. Back your desks. Get out.
So this is the question and answer session where we do with the cast. We have a regular broadcast we do. It's kind of more topic and focus, and this is sort of more chaotic. We're going to get people from the stream asking questions, and so we're going to pull that out and answer the questions as best we can. And we have a bot, so if you want to ask a question, if you're live here, just preface it with a question, and the bot will pick it up and make sure it's somewhat related to Star Citizen.
It was the coin thing. It's no longer the coin.
No, because I've got a new bot that picks it up entirely on YouTube and Twitch. It'll pick up both. So,
Ooh, technology.
Yeah.
Captain Cataphract, I am a man of mystery, so if you want to get that information out of me, you're gonna have to buy me a drink.
He's from Pluto. He's for the Prince of Pluto, the Emperor of Uranus.
Amongst other things.
Amongst other things, yeah.
Indeed. Quite.
All right. The first question from chat comes from Rendimon, who asks, but do not prefab, quote unquote, prefab items mean that to replace them with a crafted item, you will need the blueprints for that item, be it a building or piece of furniture, an item of equipment, etc. To replace them with crafted item, you would need blueprints for that item. Maybe he's referencing the idea of having like each prefab is going to have prefab loaded like furniture inside.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So you'd have different modules, different versions of it.
I don't think it's going to go like that. I think it is going to be empty rooms, but unlike some heavily survival-based games, it's not going to make you build the building that you're in.
Yeah.
You'll just place it down and then provide resources, and the system will build it for you, instead of you having to design the floor and the walls and the roof and any sort of doors inside and the windows, like you can do in No Man's Sky, for instance.
I think the way they will go about it is in the building menu is going to be like, here's a size S prefab module. Do you want it empty or pre-built with sleeping facilities, medical facilities, whatever? And you can kind of either choose out of that list or kind of do empty and put in whatever furniture you want, because maybe you want to have a fabricator and a bed in there. I think that would be a reasonable way to go about it.
I think they said something about having some sort of snap system for putting stuff down too, so it's like it won't be like super
and magnetic locking.
Yeah.
As well.
But yeah, no, I think it'll be fine. I think you probably will be able to build one with all of this stuff like pre-furnished, but I don't think that's like required to. Next question is from Erman as well, who asks, what about something that isn't a quote raid, but some player turning up and destroying what you're building while you're building it? Call it base griefing if you like. That would be protected in normal space, and if they show up, if you're in pyro, you shoot them.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, but you wouldn't be able to interact with anything or even trespass. In fact, if it's anything like the current hangars, it'd be a situation where they could just if you went on there, you couldn't pull out your gun, but they could pull out theirs and they just shoot you. Is that immersive? No, but it prevents the problem from happening. So, what do y'all think?
It's gonna happen. Like now, it happens that people shoot you when you're in a shop. The only thing that is gonna help you avoid this is A, bring friends who are gonna cover you while you're in building mode. B, build in safe areas if you're gonna be building alone. Or C, build so far away from anyone else, no one's gonna find you.
That's something I'm kind of curious
Yeah,
about.
pretty much.
When you build buildings, when they relax like armistice zones completely and have AI perimeter guards of cities, say you're not immediately in the city and you have good affiliation, say with Microtech or Loreville or whatever settlement is nearby, right? Will security patrol the region near your outpost or something and say a griefer does break in, but it alerts the local security in the area, you know?
Possibly. I mean, we're supposed to be base shields, so you just won't be able to interact with anything. They've said that in the past, so.
Yeah, that's like proper like full sec space, right?
Yeah.
UE controlled stuff, and then you have the mid sec where you buy the tokens
Mhm.
for your shield protection, and there's null sec where there's nothing and you're on your own.
All right.
I was
Good,
there was a thought I had, but I didn't want to interrupt. And the thought is gone. It's like the fleeting memory.
It'll
of
come
summer
back.
breeze.
Come back to.
Yeah.
Or not.
But
And it is
yeah,
lost.
no.
Right.
It's gone forever now. You're lost.
Walter Hack asks, base building is still far away. We still miss engineering transit refactor. Do you guys think that? Okay, I'm going to read this again. Base building is still far away. We still miss engineering / transit refactor. Do you guys, with the slow progress in the PTU, feel we will even get crafting base building this year? Yes. I think we're going to get version 1 this year or version 0. Like, just because everything else is slow.
They're only avoiding tier 0 after 1.0, so there's still plenty of room for tier 0s.
Yeah.
I mean, from a developer point of view, if Chris Roberts came to me and be like, Space Coder is now your job to implement base building in 2025. First of all, I would be like, Chris, you know my name. How did that happen?
Yeah.
Second of all, I would probably go with something like placeable buildings, where it's like, okay, maybe we don't have the holographic hover trolley with the drones, but here's a 2 SCU box where you press a button that's gonna extract ore from the ground, and you have to like keep it fueled with batteries, and it's gonna shit out gems every 5 minutes, and you can just place this somewhere.
Satisfactory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
how can you tell?
That's what I would do. It's like, but it's kind of base building. You're building a base for 10 minutes.
They've already shown at CitizenCon. There's
a shack and a generator.
as tier 0.
Yeah.
If they give that to us as tier 0, there will be a lot of complaints, but it'll be a functioning system, I guess. Because especially because they are integrating it with Starchitect, right?
Mm-hmm.
The way they're building their own bases is the same system.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it will be interesting to see how far because there was a lot of dependencies on what they showed, because you kind of have to have the drones there, you have to have the UI, sort of the resource processing. So
and the drones will have to be physicalized.
So there was a lot of dependencies that if you're going for like a minimal viable product, you want to eliminate dependencies, which you do by adding no UI and no drones. But that's just me being a lazy developer, because that's what all of us are. We are very lazy. We want to do the least amount of work for the most amount of effect.
Yeah. That's
but we're terrible people.
I believe is what they have right now.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Okay, the camera's really funky. Let me see if I can't refresh it real quick. Because it looks like it's frozen.
Mine?
Yeah, I refresh it real
Right.
quick.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm just gonna ban someone. Sorry.
Oh, that one? Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
Boom.
They're still there.
No, they're gone.
Yeah. Oh.
It's okay. All right, moving on to the next question. Did you have anything else to add to it? Because I mean, I think like the one question is always tough because it's basically what this is. But Chris said 12 to 18 months. I do not see them missing that mark with this because of how close they were with base building. I don't expect space stations and building bangles in 18 months, but like,
No, definitely not.
yeah.
But you're correct. There's a lot of dependencies they have to work on, and as Axis commented before, engineering is one of them. They showed off that specifically that they need fuses for all the buildings to function properly, and power connections between like the power generating facilities and everything else. So engineering does have to come online before that, but it is two different teams that are working on it. So you know, it's not like the team that has is the same one that does it for everything else. So work can happen on both at the same time. So as soon as the engineering comes online, they have a lot more minimal work to do to integrate it into base building.
And base building's already in gray box, so it's like, and engineering is almost done. At least it was supposed to be in 4.0, and they pushed it out. So even if it's delayed,
I haven't read the latest monthly report.
There's
Did
nothing.
they mention anything about.
There's no mention in that. No. We'll probably know more.
The
in
mention
January.
of integrate that all the developers and the audience just think, oh, that's gonna be one heck of a merge conflict.
Yeah.
Because I did.
Yeah. That's why they have the PTU, the new ePTU system. So
Yeah.
All right. Next question comes from Northern Trooper. I'll ask you this, Axis. Do you think we'll have the ability to interconnect
you do
bases?
that, eParkey. I believe in you.
Do you think we will have the ability to interconnect bases together? And if so, with roads, maybe with different orgs for route trading? Do you think we're going to be able to connect bases together, Axis?
That depends on how far you're allowed to build static segments of, what we define as a road, like a static mesh, on the grid. For roads, you typically have to find flat areas that connect and stretch between, say your settlement and the next one's about 16 kilometers. You're going to have to survey that area to find the flattest and most direct route between both areas. Especially if it's another org and you may have a toll station or something in between. Hey, people love commerce. I hate to say it. They will ruin it.
What about the word du jour, tariffs?
There we go.
You're funny.
Endgame gamekeeper Star Citizen toll booth operator.
I would hate to be the poor sap that has to tell Space Cutlet that'll be 50 credits, please.
Hey, I mean, there's an entire game called like Border Guard Simulator, where that's basically what you have to do. You're also inspecting people for like contraband and stuff like that.
I mean, there's Papers, Please, which is less about, which it starts off as that, but as all good games develops into something that you're completely not prepared for. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's one that's
it's border guard training
just-
procedure.
Yeah. border guard simulator.
But I'll going back to the actual root of the issue. Typically, you would build on the flattest segment
Yeah.
in
That's
between
boring.
your outposts, and we don't know if assuming this is a diverse builder, maybe there's some bridges kind of things. If there's like a ravine or waterway you're passing over, like a river or lake, you might have bridge segments. I'm thinking like SimCity. Who here has played SimCity in the
Yeah.
group?
Or City Skylines. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
We would have some
I
preloaded
played
options.
SimCity when it was still a DOS game.
Mhm.
I'll have you know.
Same. SimCity 2000 and earlier. That was me.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
the point
2000 was
is-
a great upgrade.
The point is, we would probably have several road options, and God, I hope some lights that are aimed down at 45 degrees. That way at night, you at least have some way of a traffic network. Because if you have a delivery shuttle coming into your landing zone, because that's also an option. We know you can build landing pads. You would see the network, from approach, right?
Mhm.
So hopefully we get some
Yeah,
hazard
and
light.
you don't want any light pollution, just being a space game, right?
Yeah.
You want the lights being pointed down at the ground.
Hey, I'm
So
an
basically,
amateur.
we devolved into civil engineering citizen.
I mean, that's the question:
like,
is should you be able to do
I
these
mean,
sorts of civil engineering stuff, like where you're not just doing like roads or being able to connect groups?
Well, they
'Cause
did kind of show roads in the sitcom demo with the big base, but that was kind of part of the base itself.
Yeah,
Part of the base.
more like
yeah.
between the two bases is the question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I'm assuming if it allows you to build
Anno
those spots.
2955.
Yeah.
Oh, I will say
I don't want that sort of intricacy and modularity and everything, just because it that is fine for a specialized sort of game, but Star Citizen that wants to be a game about everything, you need to have only a sort of surface view of every aspect of everything that goes on into it. Otherwise, you are just simulating the entire universe.
I
Mm.
don't think you're going to have dirt roads or pea gravel roads. I mean, come on.
Mm.
That's like a million billion little entities to emulate in a little square patch. You're going to have flat pieces of road that are very simple to make. It's not going to be like SimCity, unfortunately, but we have to think about the object container system. It's not going to be like overly complicated. And it's probably only going to be used to connect your resource transfer networks between your mining outposts, your fellow satellite settlements, main arteries that you can't fly to due to, say, weather or other conditions. That's I only get away with this.
One thing I can see the Planet team creating is desire paths. If you're not familiar, that is basically just where people tend to go. That's where paths are created, and that is like if there's more traffic along a very specific spline or area, that is where roads will sort of organically start forming, but not like proper built roads, but just there visibly there's going to be a corridor of where traffic organically flows, and that's going to be your road.
I figured that could work procedurally as well. If you have two bases that are driving distance, and for whatever reason you're driving instead of flying a spaceship, because everybody's just gonna fly a spaceship between them. Because all of us have 10 spaceships, so I'm gonna fly my spaceship from A to B, even though it's 16 kilometers. But
That is a very good point. Like, how are they going to enforce vehicle use instead of spaceship?
I mean, they could have severe weather events like what they showed in the planetary tech demo, where it just strikes down ships. But at that point, are you like, if it blows up a Zeus or an Aurora, are you really safe in a cyclone?
You're
Yeah.
grounded to the ground instead of flying in the air. Aircraft are more or less safe in some instances than road vehicles because they have rubber touching the dang road.
Yep.
I mean,
But
yeah,
I
but
wouldn't know. I don't have a car. I have a bus
but
pass.
good. But also if you're, why would a base exist in an area that is prone to having severe catastrophic spaceship destroying weather
Mhm.
unless there's
Why do
something
people live in
extremely
Florida?
lucrative there?
Yeah. There's going to be something very good there in order for it to happen in the first place.
No.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with this whole thing. I do not understand the obsession of roads that the players have. I think from the American perspective, I'm pretty sure this is because Americans don't understand this thing called public transportation, and they think it's a communist plot to overthrow their brains. I am absolutely 100% pro railroads. Anybody who's seen me knows me enough that I like trains. I love trains.
Right.
Darj is an auto
Train
enthusiast.
supremacy.
Yeah.
There's a train supremacy channel on the Discord. Look, I love public transport
Yeah.
for its function.
Yeah.
If I needed to just go to and from work, I wouldn't take my car. I would take the public transport because over here it is much more established and there is a much better connected network. But the only reason I'm a car person is because I like driving. But I don't, I'm not of the mentality of that I would use the car for everything that would use it. And this, I guess that kind of translates to, like, I wouldn't use my spaceship for everything.
No.
It's like
But you
I
would- you would-
I would use my electric scooter.
So like I get the idea of connecting stuff together, like a pipeline of some kind, where you could build
there's
a
probably can be
pipeline.
limits,
Yeah.
severe limits.
Pipelines from place to place to transfer resources from a base to base. Because like if you have a place that's really good and lucrative that has lots of resources, but then like it's also built around a place where there's just an absolute shit ton of Valakars that are going to eat everything you do. Having a pipeline that you can build means that you only have to worry about repairing and replacing that pipeline rather than having to deal with like everything else that comes with that. But you also don't want to build like your main base in a place where it's going to get attacked every 5 minutes. So I get the idea, that sort of idea, but I don't understand the roads. You have a spaceship, like fly your spaceship.
One thing they're missing is the road maintenance thing.
Mhm.
That's going to severely limit any massive road networks because that's one thing CIG could implement.
Yeah.
A road maintenance
Now
bill.
now we're getting into like a whole like spiel of like this is even good for the game.
It's way too intricate. No,
Yeah.
it's not fun anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, guys, I'm gonna level with everybody on the stream. If you want roads, railways, conveyors, pipelines, go play Workers and Resources.
Mhm. Or
The game is all
Satisfactory.
about all these things.
Or-
Not even Satisfactory, just Workers and Resources.
Mhm.
If you want road networks and railways and conveyors, like a conveyor nightmare, Workers and Resources.
The
like
reason why
$20
we're
on
still
Steam.
talking about roads, though, is because there's like 4 questions about roads down at the very bottom, which I'm going to start reading right now, which is roads, when do you think? As in, you can't fly in certain locations. I couldn't tell you with
but
when.
no, but something that just struck me like a couple of minutes ago is like spaceships are what in Star Citizen are what cars are in real life,
Mhm.
and so then ground vehicles in Star Citizen are what a lesser mode of transport are in real life, like
Bikes.
bicycles, skateboards,
Mhm.
electric scooters, e-bikes, whatever it is. They still have their function for it,
But it's niche.
but but it is very niche, even in places where cars are discouraged of partaking, like centers of big cities in Europe, where they're increasingly creating more like pedestrian zones and bike zones and whatever, and cars are relegated to the outskirts. But
Yeah.
so they have to really reconsider, why would you not use your spaceship? And if it's a tax on it, if it, I don't mean like a money tax, but like some sort of downside to it, it has to be implemented in such a way that it's not a hindrance in regular use where you would use a spaceship.
Mm. All right,
But
so
what would that be?
that's the thing. It's like there needs to be a thing, but like the question of like when are we going to get roads? What's going to happen? CIG's talked about roads, but the other thing is the CIG actually hasn't confirmed that they're still doing roads. They
No.
every single time it's been directly addressed. Roads. They go, yeah, inside the base, or something like that. Like they divert. Like they are not doing roads. Y'all.
The last time someone talked about roads, it was Brian Chambers, and it was 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
Yep.
Before we
Like-
get
like
off this,
actual-
I will go
actual
with
Procedural roads on planets. Yeah.
Mhm. You're gonna say Axis?
There's a lore sensitive region in our local area that does pertain to off-roading, and we probably will need a cyclone to get to this settlement. On Magnus, there are 2 landing zones. You have Newcastle and you
Oh,
have the other city,
Yeah,
Amboria.
it's
I think it's Newcastle. Newcastle's the one that's banned to air traffic because it was bombarded from orbit.
it's
and-
so Magnus. It's starts with an O. It's a city. It's named after a city in
Odysseia.
Ukraine. It's Odysseia, but it's not actually Odysseia. It's like it's spelled like
Odessa.
Odessa. Yeah, it's
Odessa.
Odessa.
Yeah. Odessa is a city in Ukraine.
Yeah, it's also
from
the
that's
headquarters of Drake Interplanetary. So yeah, I get what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they're probably going to do with that in that case, because it's a forested world. They're probably going to have landing zones at the edge. You're going to be told to land your stuff there, and they're probably going to have turrets that'll shoot you down if you don't land there, because there's a no-fly zone around that entire city.
Yeah. I'm just going to say, with this topic on roads, because there's plenty of people who still talk about roads, is I don't think roads are important. I don't think roads are very important. I don't think they're important for gameplay. I think they're aesthetic only. What's more important is CIG's design of the planets. The planets need to be
And as the
able
name
to
Morelli
drive.
has shown,
You know,
you don't need roads where
No.
we're going.
exactly.
Just less rocks.
I mean, less rocks would be nice. Like reducing the boulder fields. That's all that really is important. You know. All right, move on, because we've got a lot of questions and we're not going to sit here for 15 hours. Shimpasta asks,
Ooh, longest podcast ever.
you'd have to beat more than 24 because we do 24 every year. You know that.
Oh, shit, yeah, it is. Right. Sorry. Longest Captain Stable ever.
Yeah. Shimpasta asks, once we have base building, how will CIG get players back into cities or landing zones?
Good question.
I mean, I don't know the answer, which is we already kind of talked about it. It's like mission givers and resources and unique items and a bunch of stuff. I mean, like, yeah,
High fashion.
yeah.
Maybe
Shopping.
shops you can rent out and actually have shops in the city that you run.
Or selling things, because like if you're building a base, you're probably going to be making the stuff that's like garbage, like the stuff that you can make money on, and then the stuff that you can sell to players. So being able to produce something cheaply that you can then produce and like sell at a landing zone will make you money. But you're not going to sell your tier 5 special sandwiches to somebody in to like the admin of Loreville, because okay, it's the wrong place to sell it. You sell it to players.
Exactly.
So
Yeah, I'm not selling it to the elite. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like the working people, the working class. Yeah, it's like the downtrodden. They know that they can't, go to Orison and have caviar on crispy toast cheddar. So they'll just go for a sandwich, and that's where I step in.
but yeah,
But yeah,
Your thoughts,
it,
Sarge?
it, I feel like landing zones are going to be the purview of NPC corporations, and there's going to be certain things that will still be outside of the reach of players, not in function, but in design and desirability.
Space Cutter?
I agree. It's going to be the mission givers. Then you're going to have people who are going to be okay with just the gear you can get in the landing zone because they don't have a base or they don't have an org and they don't want to buy from other players for a surcharge or for a better item. So yeah, just a regular landing zone or a space station shop is good enough for these guys. And there is going to be casual players, people who play for 5 hours a month. And they're going to be at the landing zone. They're going to grab a mission, do their mission, come back to the landing zone, be there. So that's who I think we're going to see there.
Axis?
Definitely what you guys have been saying. I mean, we're talking about getting people back into cities, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but how are you going to get people back in the cities once they have base building?
Well, it opens up with the modularity of the buildings, I think, because they're kind of interrelated. Once you open up building interiors, you could have people set up player shops, kiosks for orgs, whatever. A lot of these empty shell buildings will fill up. Kind of a limit.
But that's going to be prime real estate.
It really will be, depending on the area of the city. Think about it. Even in Loreville, there'll be the high-end area, probably close to the, let's just say it, the Blade Runner
CBD.
Tower. And the outskirts will probably be the cheap, low-end rent, rut-in-the-road kind of town.
Every time I go to Orson, the gamer in me is like, oh, that's cool, a floating city. But the adult is like, oh, the rent must be horrible.
I can imagine the Hurstons will cheat you out of money and the interior.
Orison is going to be expensive.
Well, not
How
only
are
is
they
it
going to afford the gold statues otherwise?
All right. Next question comes from Steve the Dancer, who asks, "We know in real life some people are corruptible. How would you feel if reputation could be gained by money?" Fine.
It's believable.
Yeah.
Yep. Makes sense.
I don't think every
Especially in Hurston.
maybe not every mission giver and every faction is corruptible by money, but yeah, making some mission givers corruptible by money or something like that, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, from knowing them, like Wallace Clem, Kisha Pacheco, definitely not.
What's his name?
Eckhart, maybe.
Miles Eckhart for sure, almost certainly.
Yeah.
But you're not going to do that.
I think that's going to be more difficult. It's like you would need to get to a certain reputation with him before he would allow you to bribe him. He wouldn't just allow anyone. Yeah, but Hurstons, they're open to just getting money from everybody.
I think what's his name? Constantine Hurston would definitely not take a bribe. At first, he would be upset if you tried to bribe him. He would be like, I am a Hurston of the Hurston Dynamics Hurstons. This is outrageous that you're trying to bribe me. And then like 2 seconds later, it's like, but for that amount of money, yes, please, let's go.
That is a lot of zeros.
Step into my room, please.
He would definitely be mad about it unless you hit him the right number. Then he'd be upset that you thought he was corruptible, but then be corruptible.
Yeah. So
that is absolutely outrageous. But I do want a second 890.
Exactly.
Yeah. So like Miles Eckhart
for free.
Miles Eckhart.
So Miles Eckhart would be like someone you need to establish your credibility first with, but Constantine Hurston is just about the amount of zeros in the bribe.
Yeah. That also makes interesting things because Star Citizen's taking heavy inspiration from the old immersive sim genre, and like famously the original Deus Ex, you could skip like half the game in the very beginning of the game if you had the right dialogue options. by asking the right questions to the right person, you just get to half the game. And so the idea of you
It's very similar with that as well. So if you're a street kid or what's the other one, nomad, you don't get certain dialogue options, but as corpo, you get a lot of story-based shortcuts just because you're corpo. Yeah,
and
I can definitely see you paying the guards of Klesher, like in Skyrim,
to
paying
leave.
X amount to be let off free and clear.
Yeah, and that adds variety to the gameplay. If someone, because like somebody who's like, oh well, I got to really work up my way to work with Constantine Hurston so I can get in there, and then some guy who just walks up and just slaps a check down with a bunch of zeros on it, and it's just like, why? How the hell does he have all this reputation now? How do I done? It's like, you just got to get good, kid. Get rich. Welcome to the world.
with the guards, it'll be interesting. If you get to be the notorious bribing criminal, it's like every time you get caught, the bribe goes up.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what the crime is.
These are just like simple, but you know what I mean. Like
that would be fun. It's like, oh well, we could let you go, but it's going to cost you.
From a design point, it's simple. Yeah.
It's just like the more you do it, the higher it goes, sort of thing. So
the higher the price for freedom becomes.
Yeah. All right, Steve that answered then asks, do you think refiners / crafters could make a blacklist make a blacklist pirates who attack them to prevent them from getting goods? Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not?
Oh yeah.
Isn't that something that also touched upon in the social
Kill on Sight?
empire, whatever it is called?
Yeah,
The Citizen Con. Yeah.
The Kill on Sight list.
That's just
yeah.
Or whatever it is.
It's called like an enemy list or something like that. You can set somebody as automatically hostile.
But basically, it's like sure, it's like if someone's on that list, you just like nothing works for them in terms of interacting with the other person. Yeah.
All right, Steve that answered that asks, do you feel that the refinery comes in the do you feel that when the refinery comes in the galaxy and the expanse will be do you feel when
those are ships' names?
I know, but he says okay, so I'll read it slowly. Do you feel when the refinery comes in the galaxy and expanse will be put into the game?
Do you think when refinery comes, do you think when the refinery comes, like player facing refinery, is that when we'll receive the galaxy and the expanse?
Or do you think it'll be a large dedicated refinery ship?
That would be the Orion.
I think the question is, do you think we're going to get refining with the galaxy and the expanse, or do you think we're going to get a larger one as the first version?
Oh, right. Yeah. Probably expanse and galaxy, just because they have proper metric concepts, if not white box versions of those ships, and the Orion or the Arastra, but the Orion is basically just a really old concept that really needs rework.
Well, probably not the Arastra, because it has the size 3 mining lasers, and I don't think they know what that's gonna look like or do, or you know.
Yeah, let's see. All right, I'm going to step away for 2 seconds as well. Carlos R asks, would it be enough to be able to build your fabricator in the hangar? So, like being able to have a fabricator in your hangar. I think that's a good idea for at least small stuff, because like in general,
let's say you're going to have like communal refiners and communal fabricators.
That kind of suggests almost, Coder, that there's going to be like a communal area between the hangars, like what am I trying to describe? Like at an airport where you have like a lobby between the hangars.
Well, the thing there is, if you do it as a communal area, like everybody has access to like refinery deck, then how do you manage? Because I'm assuming if you set if you like set a fabrication job and it takes some time, it's keeping that fabricator occupied.
Right.
So how do you manage that with however many people are coming through? Because then someone could just like spam fabrication jobs in there, and that's gonna like block out the fabricator for days.
That's a
Sometimes.
really good question. That is a really good question.
So what I think would be a better solution is just, depending on the size of your hangar, you're gonna have a small fabricator in there, and
Yeah.
you know, maybe it's not even gonna be for components or anything. It just could be like, you know, for gear, weapons, armor, that kind of stuff.
I guess
So
it's
like
something
a
that, yeah.
small hangar has well, I think it might be offset from the size of the hangar because remember, you still have to land your ship.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So like that empty area,
All the
where
hangars
a
have
lot of
like
hangars
empty
go.
areas on the side, so you could
Yeah.
just add another like alcove and be like, yeah, here's the fabricator to do whatever.
So like the small hangar would have the, what did they describe it? This extra small fabricator. The
Probably.
medium would have the small, and then the large would have the medium, and then the capital ship size would be up to large.
All right. Next question comes from Steve the Dancer, who asks, "What ships do you think will come with the next big sale? What do you think of the Misk Fortune?" Well, I'm sure it's the Misk Fortune. We already know what it is.
It's gonna be the Misfortune
and the Super Hornet.
Yeah, the
yeah.
Hornet variants.
Yeah.
What else is in the pipe right now?
Heartseeker Mark II.
Yeah, the Heartseeker, because that's coming out because of Koromor. So it's
No,
gonna
yeah,
be
Koromor.
So it's it's gonna be the Heartseeker, the Super Hornet, and the Misk Fortune. Those are the ones.
Yeah.
I do think because they did show it off, because the same place that had the Misk Fortune, the same leak that had the original discovery of the Misk Fortune, also had combat Titan suits listed in there. I think this is the year we're getting the combat versions of the Atlas, or the combat. That's Bob right, Lore Rice. Yeah, the combat versions of the Atlas. So
That gun you and I saw, a couple
possibly.
of the Gatling gun that looked like it literally came out of Gundam Wing.
Yeah,
that was too big for a human.
It looked weird. It'd look weird if a human was carrying it because it looks very much like something you'd see in Halo.
What did you say that like a Ferengi? That was too big for human.
Oh, that was too big for human. Oh wait, I can almost do it. I almost can do it, but I'm no Quark.
That reminds me. For my birthday, my wife got me a shirt that says Quark's Bar on it. It's like the Quark's Bar logo.
Nice.
Like that.
Nice. Is that from QWERTY? I need to get that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Next question comes from Iris, who asks, "Do you think CIG will do any better with property and housing policy than any real governments? Do you think there will be a need to limit the secondary land claim market, building fees, rent controls?"
Do cows fly?
Star Citizen's version of Zillow when...
Yeah, I think you'll see some of those elements, only if it's... All right, I'm going to have to rely on Space Coder to understand me on this one. All of those elements are there to deal with problems in supply and demand, specifically when it comes into things like with things like pricing. Because if you go too big on pricing, if you try to do too big of a price cap or a price ceiling or a price floor, you start fucking with the flow. With how things can function, and it can cause more problems than you realize. And
so the fucked up thing about this is that it's not just like supply and demand as an independent thing.
Yeah.
It also ties into interest rates, and that ties into the securities market, which kind of informs how expensive it is to get money, which informs sort of the supply available to buy property. And you kind of get into this endless loop of property price go up, interest rate go up, and nobody can afford anything.
He does have a master's degree in economy.
Yeah. Apparently
Yeah.
I do.
But I mean, so the problem is that the market forces that would push any of those things don't exist in Star Citizen. Like there is no interest rates that are controlling, loans, which are controlling the access to stuff. You don't need to take a loan to buy a plot of land. In
That's
Star
the
Citizen.
thing, I made a video on this a couple months back about the monetary policy in Star Citizen.
Yeah.
That is. I just realized that is something that's missing with the economy is the ability to take a loan out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And the thing is,
Are there any MMOs that allow you to do that?
Yeah.
yeah. So the problem is that how do you regulate money supply in real life? There's monetary and fiscal policy for the government and the central bank to just take money out of circulation to avoid
Wait,
inflation.
just print more money.
But if you don't have that ability, because right now money in Star Citizen just appears out of thin air,
Mhm.
there's nothing taking it out. But if you don't have monetary policy, which you don't have if there is no securities market, because you can't just take the money out of circulation if you're not putting anything out there as a security. So you're kind of screwed. So they have to figure out money sinks that don't involve monetary policy. So they're gonna tax the ever-loving shit out of us
Mhm.
for everything just to remove money and decrease inflation. Because so here's a fun fact: inflation is actually healthy.
It's normal, actually.
But
It's
there's
good.
a caveat. There's a caveat. It has to be 2 to 3%, not the 16.
Yes.
Uh, if you go above that 2-3%, because here's the thing: so if you don't have inflation, then you don't have enough money for people to be buying things, because there's going to be more people wanting to buy more things, but there's not enough money to buy more things.
Those things, which
Right.
means the prices will go up
you
anyways.
you have to have inflation coincide with population growth. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
also
you
success,
have to.
because you want people to be able to buy and sell goods and services so that they can survive and thrive,
So,
hopefully. So yeah.
so that's kind of the problem that we're gonna have in Star Citizen, is that we need money sinks instead of a monetary policy. So
Yeah.
it's a whole thing. It's a great video. I really put that economics degree to use.
Did you release it?
Oh yeah, it's been like a few months ago. It's
Okay. I
it's
remember you
called
talking about it.
Taxman is out to get you.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean that's a good point when talking about all of this, is that like taxes are going to be your thing, but they need to manage it because, as you said, inflation needs to be not 7,000%, which it does in MMOs when you have no way of taking the money away, because when people sit on money, then they devalue it because it's not as important. There's a entire
UE
economics
interest
degrees.
rates,
You know,
could be a thing. At securities market.
They could
buy shares in Aegis.
They could actually like limit the money supply. They could legitimately say this is how much money supply there is, and that's what and simulate the whole system if they wanted to. That's not too complicated of a system. We've had models that simulate that system back in the 70s, so it's not like it's something new. The problem is more, does it add to the gameplay? And I think it does if you're dealing with like things like property, housing policies, and these sorts of things, which will eventually come into place when it comes to Star Citizen, simply because
the thing
usage
with
is gonna
like
be a
and
thing.
how this relates to like
But
property in Star
that's a
Citizen.
thing that just can't be. That's a thing that can be player facing. It has to be. If it is implemented, it's a system that just controls the economy in the background. But players shouldn't have to worry about all this sort of balancing of the checkbooks that they need to do in real life, because that's just sapping the fun out of it.
But it will impact your gameplay, because if suddenly the price of your Karna's ammunition goes up 300% overnight because CIG fucked up the inflation market, now fucked up the market, that now you've got problems. Like it's something that players shouldn't have to care about, but they will have to care about because CIG can fuck it up easy.
But I think at least for like properties, we are kind of safe, because the big problem in real life with properties is that there physically is not enough property and not enough land, which is limitation of 70% of the planet being water, and about half of the rest of it being mountains or deserts or other places where you don't want to buy property. But in Star Citizen, technically we are in space, so technically there are other planets. So technically you can go buy property somewhere else. Assuming
But
you have
then-
a spaceship and money for a fabricator and to build a base and sustain a base, and it brings a whole new set of problems. And yeah, inflation is going to be a problem. And I declared it in the year of 2024. Everybody told me I am an idiot and I am wrong, and I will see you in 3 years for my I told you so.
Yeah, I agree with you. Inflation is going to be an issue that CSG has to address, which is why they need those money sinks. So,
But stuff money things like hangar
Taxes.
fees have always
Taxes.
been
Yeah.
talked about.
What's
That's
that?
going to be hangar fees, taxes, paying for planet shields and protection,
Yep.
that kind of stuff.
mhm.
I'm letting the
Paying
brain
protection to
talk.
the
I'm
local
out of it.
gang. That's going to be a money sink.
Is transporting between zones, you're going to have to pay tolls of some kind, probably, if you're going to go between jump points.
Or public transport, like every time you step on a tram,
It
Lorville,
automatically
costs
draws your
5
UEC out.
Don't
It's like, oh, yeah.
evil Darge. No. I hate the Lorville trains. May they burn. Crimson flames.
Golden
Elevator
flames
boy
to match the
at
statues.
Grimhex. He's going to be like, well, I can take you up, but that's going to be 50 credits.
All right.
And
Next,
50 credits is nothing when you have T-shirts at Invictus that cost 700.
they've changed it since then, but yeah, hopefully that'll go
have
down.
they?
Yeah.
Hopefully.
All
The
right,
clothing is.
yeah, that was one of the part of 4.0's balance was they try to reduce the clothing, so it's not like 700 credits. It's now like 100 credits for a shirt or something like that, 50 credits for a
Okay.
shirt. But it's like,
It's only 5 times as much as it should be, but yeah.
yeah, it's now cheaper to buy a hot dog and a shirt than it is to buy, a magazine, or
Which is
a
ouch.
gun magazine, which it should be. All right, Otakon asks, if the current trajectory continues, will Star Citizen make it 1.0, make it to 1.0 or go bust first? Okay, Otakon, the current trajectory is still high. CHE still made only 2 million less than they did last year.
Yeah. But late stage capitalism demands 10% growth at least.
It's not the first time this has happened either. It's happened in the past where they went down in 1 year and then went up the next year. I don't think I think the doom scrolling or the doom saying that has been happening over the last couple of months, where people are like, Star Citizen, CIG, and chaos. The upper management are quitting. They're firing all of their QA and constantly like that. I think that's all really bad, press shenanigans more than anything. It completely misses nuances.
Look, guys,
Blame my
as a
channel.
person who works at a software-based corporation similar size to CIG, firing 15% of your developers every couple of months is a completely normal phenomenon. It's fine. It happens.
And they don't do that. CH hasn't done that.
Not yet.
They're the abnormal ones. But if they
There's
get
nothing-
Squadron out,
I'll just say there is no there is there is no indication that they're going bust. They're doing fine.
Yeah, they're behaving
If
like
they
a
get
completely
Squadron
normal
out.
corporation.
Yeah.
if
they
they
get
get
Squad-
Squadron out in 2026 as they promised, that single month in the spreadsheet is going to eclipse the entire previous year.
Yeah.
And they'll have as much money as they want to spend on whatever they want. If Chris Roberts wants a new yacht, sure, he deserves it if his squadron is good. You know what? Fine, I'll be fine with that.
It's important to not let this idea that anything that is possibly going wrong means everything is wrong. We often catastrophize news in not just in Star Citizen but in gaming in general. How many times have you seen chaos erupting in X gaming company when it's 2 months later the same press is singing the praises because the game's coming out. I remember a couple months ago people were saying that it's awful, Rockstar is not going to be able to get it out next year, they're going to delay, and everyone was it's chaos, but now it's no, they're having a investors meeting or a shareholders meeting in February where they're going to talk about how GTA 6 is coming out in 2020 in this year, 2025. how can these two things be the same? They're not.
Is
It's
it?
because somebody is over dramatizing it for sales of newspapers and stuff like that. So it's always important to see not what the newspapers or what any individual is telling you. It's also important to see the whole picture to see out what's actually going on. You know, relying on one source is never a good idea. That's all I'll say. Yep. All right. I didn't know if you were going to say something, Darsh, because you're kind of
Yep.
yeah. So,
I was just waiting for my camera to refresh.
yeah. Questions. What's a newspaper? Oh God.
What's a computer?
Drakea asks, some quantum drives have speeds well past the speed of light. How much does that go against lore? A lot, but it goes past the.
No, they don't.
They go up. They don't go past the speed of light. They go to the speed of light. There's some of them that go to the speed of
Yeah,
light.
one of them has 300,000, which is just slightly over. It's just like one of them, yeah. Although, if you want to say that like the distances are compressed by 1/8, then yeah, all of them do. But otherwise, if you're considering speed of light is 299,792.458 kilometers per second, even in Star Citizen. Wait, current 890 drive is 1.7 C? What?
That's news to me. I've heard in the past they go up to, but not over.
That's like over 400,000 kilometers per second, right?
I think so. I don't know the math
Ish.
of, but
Yeah.
the thing is that anything we have right now isn't necessarily lore based, and CIG can just change it. It's just a number. The concept of the number that they picked, which was like 0.2 C, I think, or 0.3 C.
509.
Oh.
That is a design that's like a design consideration that's been said a while ago by Chris Roberts and never been addressed since.
They constantly reinforce that in the lore, so it's clear that they're still trying to stick to it. It's just the developers are testing out speeds to see what they like, and when the game reaches 1.0, they'll either change the lore to whatever it is supposed to be, and or not. That's it. You know.
Yep.
Othman, you're coming in at like hour 3 of the of the show, where we've talked the first half of this was talking about that. So
Yeah.
But basically, yes, we do all agree with you that base building is a good idea if it's implemented correctly.
all right, Shimpasa asks.
TLDR, yes, with reservations.
Yes. Shimpasa asks, do you feel that decorator mode will kill immersion in Star Citizen? What do you think, Axis?
What?
No way. I agree with Darj's reaction. Who wants to spend hours looking at the same interior of the same hab, only in different locations fabricated by different vehicles? Why does that sound fun? That doesn't sound very immersive.
We already have.
Yeah, exactly. Well, when you visit my hab, you'll be welcomed by the Pyramid of Sandwich. It's like there's only going to be in my hab.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where immersion is.
I'm expecting Paul to have a statue of himself in the atrium.
Please, I'm not
Made
that.
of gold.
I'm not that egotistical. I'll have a statue
No.
of like,
Cam.
Cam. Yeah, Cam. Well, no, I love Cam, but it'd be a statue of Cal Mason and made of gold in my
No,
atrium.
what he'll have is when you enter his hab is like a corridor that is lined with racks and racks of vests and ties.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
If they let me make one of the guy that discovered Croshaw, that's going to be in my library.
There you go.
That is a person called Croshaw.
Nick Croshaw. Yeah.
The person who discovered Croshaw is called Croshaw.
Okay,
Remember
but
that.
you were in an ad. Othman was I asked this base building. Yes, that's a TLDR opinion so far. Yes, with caveats is what it was. I think the idea of having a decorator mode doesn't kill the immersion because it's needed for gameplay. It's boring. As somebody who's played a lot of those games where you sit out and decorate your game your stuff, some people are built differently and will just do that. But I am not one of those people. Like, that is absolutely not my style, and I'm hoping and I'm gathering that that's not most people's styles the same. You want to be able to decorate, but you want to make it so that you can do so in a way that you can have control over, not that's awkward and hard to maneuver, which is a problem. So, speed of light is
299,792
meters per second.
458 meters per second. Yes, I know that is my favorite number.
Is there really a drive in the game that will do that many a gigameter every 3 seconds at top speeds?
Gigameter every 3 seconds. Yeah. It takes a while to get to that top speed, and as they showed in CitizenCon about building your own sort of components, like tiers going up, it'll be spooling and cooling and acceleration times are gonna go down as you get more quality components. Yeah.
I don't. This is from one person's comment saying that it went to 1.77C. I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah.
All right, we've got.
We need to go to air cool.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like 10 questions left. Do we think that the Expanse will have any kind of small?
We're only half an hour into tomorrow.
Do you think the Expanse will have any kind of small fabrication or just refining? Just refining. There's no just fabrication. Refining. Yeah.
There could be a variant of it, just
Maybe.
like the Misfortune.
Sort of, but the Misfortune
of the Prospector.
It's sort of built off the same chassis, but doesn't seem to be the same. All right.
Sure. So it could be like.
Yeah.
So it may not be modular, but it could be like but also not a variant, but just like like the Misfortune versus Prospector. It'll be the Expanse versus the Contract. I don't know.
The Construct, because it's an equally stupid name.
Have they even
yes.
What's up, Axis?
Have they even said how big the Fortune is? If it's the same size as the Prospector,
it's about the same size.
It looks like it has basically 99% of the same. Other where the saddlebags are is where the exterior cargo is, and that's it. And it doesn't have like the lights below the cockpit glass.
What I'm trying to see is if these 3 ships could be Misk's version of the Atlas platform.
Could be. All right. Simon Wolf asks, how many of you have experienced base building in Star Wars Galaxies? I very, very little did. I didn't build it myself, but I did see people building bases, and it was around that area. And if so, what lessons would you bring from that experience to Star Citizen for CIG and for players?
Haven't played, so
Did you play Space Coder?
No.
Okay, so the one thing I will say is the thing that made base building fun in Star Wars Galaxies was you could build settlements. It wasn't just a base. You were building a town. And that town could evolve. And so you'd, the idea of if you're going to do something like Star Wars Galaxies, the main focus would be to make that so that the bases aren't just sort of rust bases, but more advantageous to kind of encourage players to settle near each other or, with protections, that kind of stuff. So you need to have a community. And if that was one thing I would say from it is like that's what CIG should focus on with base building, is allow for their individual sort of bases and such, but the focus on community should be the main focus of base building outside of the initial gameplay.
Oh yeah, so I'm looking at the Star Wars Galaxies Wikipedia page.
Mm-hmm.
I was 12 when this shut down.
When it shut down.
I was, it came out in 98, I want to say.
It was released
I was 14.
June 26, 2003.
Oh, 2003, okay. 2003.
Wow. Yeah. How
So
young are you? What the fuck?
I was 6 when this released, so no, I did not play this.
So yeah,
So
so
you're a 97 baby. Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
when I'm an 87, he's only 10 years younger than me. Like he's 30, he's 28.
I'm an 84, baby. I'm old.
Star Wars towns were basically walls of buildings you put so together you couldn't walk between them. That would sometimes happen, yes. But I remember getting them in the early 2000s. I remember getting the Jump to Lightspeed expansion was the one I got into, and I enjoyed it. But yeah. All right. Next question comes from Dragon Wolf, who asks, "I plan to name one area of my base, quote, a rock, and another another area, quote, a hard place. What puns would the panelist put to your bases?"
Ooh.
Quite a few dirty ones.
Go for it, Daxus.
Go
Let's
for it.
hit us. Hit it.
It is the After Dark section,
Yeah.
so you're allowed.
Okay, let's see.
Base names.
Okay, let's see. Dick and Tree. I'm sorry.
Okay. I don't know how this is a pun, but yeah, I can get it. Let's see.
I mean, if we're gonna be, I'm just gonna be the worst here, so everybody else come out with clever.
Let's see. Last call is a good one. I think I like
That's a
last
good
call.
one.
I am told that I have to name a room or a building at my base Skiff 3, but that's an ADI inside joke. No one's gonna get it.
Um,
And there has to be a drain in the middle of the room.
so someone will want me to name a building or a base the Redeemer, just because they think it's funny, you know.
If I put my sandwich shop in a sandy place, I guess it'll just be called the Witch.
There we go.
Not sure if you're a fan of that game, Paul. Shadowrun.
Shadowrun, that'd be a good one. All right. Next question comes from Steve the Dancer, who asks, "How much would ship transport missions have? How much would ship transport missions save on ship claims?"
According to CIG, the majority.
Yeah. So the idea of like actually transporting a ship from point A to point B rather than
just claiming it. Yeah.
claiming it. Yeah, probably a lot. But that could also be done as a backend feature where you just say transport this from point A to point B, and it just does it in the backend, and it's just a timer.
Yeah, but they won't want to do that. They will want to have it be physicalized, just because they're CIG.
I could see them breaking on that and doing it more as a backend, because I mean that's what happens in Elite. Elite does it.
The Kraken would be one of the only player-owned ships I could see remotely anytime soon. Well, maybe the Ironclad.
Maybe
the Ironclad is that huge.
Yeah, you could transport. You could definitely transport like vehicles, but at probably the biggest.
What's that Anvil one?
The Liberator.
Liberator, yeah.
But Liberator can only hold like
or
small.
a whole series.
Yeah, but we can't currently do that. You know, you can't really.
I mean, they did eventually say you will be able to palletize a ship.
The whole,
so...
yeah. They showed a whole sea with like comically sized hot dogs attached to it.
Yeah.
So if we can attach anything to a cargo grid, I'm sure we'll be able to attach other ships to a cargo grid.
All right.
It's not going to be like in an old concept where it was like,
generally one of the things
to make it a container.
Yeah, like the CIG are very obsessed with physicalization.
Mm-hmm.
And, I get it. You want to have a living, breathing universe where things are physicalized and simulated. They just still haven't realized the part where this is a development nightmare. So, no, just make it.
Make it work in the backend.
CIG. Yeah. I'm going to explain to you how to do this. Go to the Visual Studio solution for Star Citizen. Right-click on the solution. Click on Add Project, and you're going to call it the Ship Transport Between Landing Zones Service. And all that's going to do is going to have one thing. It's going to have a transport ship, and it's going to have the ship ID in the database, the ID of the source, and the ID of the target landing zone. And all it's going to do is it's going to move that ship in the database, in the entity graph, from point A to point B. All it's going to do.
Yeah.
And suddenly claims are going to go down 80%. You're going to write one integration test for this to see if it does move from A to B. And that's it. Done. Finished. Major feature complete. Have some poor guy do the UI for the ASAP terminal, and you're done. You're golden.
At most, you might want to add a timer to it, like you do with the claims. But the difference is,
At most.
yeah.
But that timer is going to be a lot lower than the
claim.
projected timer for manufacturing a new ship. Well, they
You're
say
right.
that's going to be like a spectrum, just because like most common ships they're going to have an inventory of, but rare ships they will have to be bespoke made, so it'll be either or. But for the majority of the ships, I would say the wait timers are going to be lower than manufacturer timers.
So just do that.
Hmm.
It's a week of work for 2 developers at most. Do it, CIG. It's like major quality of life improvement for everybody.
No, but they want to create a ship designed specifically for transporting other ships.
They do, and they haven't built it.
But
it's called the Liberator.
But how do you transport the bigger ship that is designed to transport other ships?
At that point, how many angels can dance at the head of a pin? That's what you're asking, all right, man? Let's move.
No, but at that point, it's a valet service. You just employ a pilot to take it from A to B.
Yeah.
Yes, a shipping ship that ships ships. Thank you.
Yep. How many ships could a shipping ship if a shipping ship could ship ships?
All right. Next question. Malakina asks, do you think we will be able to build the Bengal cannon boat? Oh, the
battle cruiser.
Oh,
the battle cruisers. Yeah, the integrity class.
The Corvus.
Yeah, the Corvus class. Yeah, whatever you want to call it.
I would almost think they would be easier to build because they're smaller than the Bengal.
Yeah,
by a lot.
It's slightly smaller. It doesn't have the extra thrusters on the top.
Mm-hmm.
It probably doesn't have the hangar inside of it, but it does have the extra guns. So I'm guessing it'd be maybe like an 80 to 90% of the effort. Of
By that same token,
the Bengal carrier is supposed to be a flagship, right?
The Krugari? Yeah, Krugari is his flagship.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think by the same token, probably we will get the blueprints of the smaller ships first, if we get them that way. Be it through a mission for the UEE, say against Xeno threat or some other common enemy, maybe the Vandul as a reward. I think it's going to be like a really tight locked reward, because any ship like that is going to be just like an exclusive reward.
Yep.
All right. I agree. I think it's one of those things where it's definitely going to happen. It's definitely going to happen, but I do think that it's going to be a later thing. I agree with you on that one, Axis. All right. I'm kind of fading here myself. So, and it's not even 6:00 my time. I have food. I have to get some food in me is the issue. Escape asks, possibly dupe, maybe dupe. I don't know. Duplicate. I don't know if it's dupe. If it means, because it says, do you believe that we will see a better mechanism for base defense than shields? Oh, possible duplicate question. Okay. Do you think we'll see a better mechanism for base defense than shields with unlimited power? No. Why not? The shield is just is a hand waving excuse to just not, is why your stuff can't get exploded, why your ships and stuff's invincible.
Yeah, there's a possibility if you could do PDCs and sort of AA stuff, but all of those have range, and all the attacking ships just have to, make sure they're out of range, which is very easy to do with an A2. So shields are the best, like you said, hand wavium of protecting.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a simple solution, and as we were just kind of, if you couldn't tell based off of our discussion about how we move ships, I'm a fan of simple solutions to complex problems. They make a lot easier. So it may not be as immersive, but as I've always said, when people say, "Well, this isn't a believable game," it's like, what cue you in? The bird aliens, or the fact that they're flying World War II dogfighters in space? since the beginning of the game's pitch was World War II dogfights in space. Like, come on, man.
Even the most hardcore realistic space franchise, The Expanse, has unbelievable parts to it.
It has unlimited power. It has the Epstein drive.
The Epstein drive.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Which was a simple solution to a problem that would have existed no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heisenberg compensators. You know, the same idea. Just like, how does it work? It does. You don't need to talk about it.
Yeah. Why does it work? Because the writer decided it has to.
As long as it's consistent with those rules, you're good. You know.
Yeah. Yep. And that's how you get Star Trek. Is like they have so many shortcuts and so many conveniences, but it's because they make them work consistently. It's what makes it a believable universe. It's like you just have to trust that this thing works. And then
let's just look at Warhammer. Like the entirety existence of Warhammer 40K is like, how does this work? Mechanicus.
Yeah. Ancient technology.
Because one dead guy is still locked in a throne is being fed 1,000 psychers a day. Yeah. Yep.
Space magic, demons.
Literally,
Mechanicus,
demons. The hell.
Machine spirit.
Yeah. All right, Shampasta asks, do you think CIG will kick off base building with hangar modules? No. I don't think so.
I so wish.
We kind of talked about this earlier with the idea of doing a fabricator built into a hangar. I don't know if we're gonna see hangar modules with like base building though. What do you think there, Axis?
Not initially if they do it, because there might be initial limitations like standalone buildings, but I don't think 1.0 will have like huge sprawling complexes because we're only in server meshing 1.0, not enormous. You know, we're not in, what is it, dynamic 1 or 2. We're not in the more high end server meshing. I don't think it'll allow for it.
Okay. Space Coder, what do you think?
Yep, I agree. I don't think what the word on hangar module is right now. They kind of quietly removed the hangar mode from the main menu like many years ago. It would be cool to see some optional add-ons to hangars in game. If you could like configure your home hangar, like you want a fabricator or you want like a second elevator to spawn vehicles. I don't think we're going to see it before base building, though. I think it's going to be a completely separate thing, and they're going to be like, oh, we have hangar modules now.
Yeah. Sorry, Dash, your camera is trying to kill itself.
No, it's not the camera. The camera's fine. It's like my fucking connection. I don't know why it's so inconsistent.
Enough internet for you
I
today.
want the hangar module back so much because that was like the Revel in New York hangar where you could just take the elevator up and go around the walkway and you have 5 different lounges and shit like that. I want that sort of stuff back. But yeah, that feels more like a later addition to the base. Like you're gonna have a single hangar that'll be exactly like the ones you have at landing zones or space stations where you can pull up your ship just because that is the assets that they have that they're working on, because the people that are working on the actual assets are busy doing something else while the people working on the features are creating player hangars.
Yeah. That's going to end up being the thumbnail for this section is the return of the hangar module ?
You're gonna have a lot of clicks on that one, bro.
I'm going full bore YouTuber mode with this new channel because people don't want to do it.
Just don't add emojis to the thumbnail. I beg you.
All right. So the next question comes from Seth Speed Shop, who asks, we only have two, who asks, question, do you think we'll get the same buildings that are already in the game? Think subsurface level, like landing pads and pyro. Yes, to a degree. Some of them will be the exact same. Like he's talking about like we have with the Frontier design versus like the other things. Yeah, but they already have their own tool set, which is different from the Frontier design that they showed off, that are designs for base building. So it'll probably be a different style, but I wouldn't be surprised if we got those as well in the future.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be different style, sort of new looking, but you're going to have the similar sort of form, of this subterranean landing pad type situation. But we shall see when we see.
The tool to create those is going to be the same, but the visuals will be slightly different. Yeah. But mechanically they'll fit together the same way, just like you have the current like space station interiors and the the bunkers that are basically have the same sort of logic to them but different visuals.
Yeah, I like high tech style. I like what they're doing, but I grew up in Central/Eastern Europe. I like concrete. I want concrete. Concrete good.
Brutalist.
I want like
Brutalist.
brutalist.
Or was it Kami Block? Kami Block. That's what we call it. It's called Kami Block. You want that Kami Block? Yeah.
But the stuff
I live in one.
It's not Kami Block. It more looks like 3D printed concrete, which has curves. And Brutalist is all about 90-degree angles, and I hate it so much.
You all want to talk about like defensibility and durability of bases. The other day I was trying to put up a painting. It took me half an hour to drill a hole into the concrete that is my wall. With a drill.
You don't have a hammer drill, do you?
For drilling into concrete.
Castra also
you need
Go ahead, Axis. What were you gonna
SCS.
Axis was gonna say something. Axis.
Castra's bringing another style to it that's similar, if I remember straight.
Yeah.
Hinoism, you said?
Yeah, Hinoism. Yeah. Which is a brutalist style of architecture. So, yeah.
So we may be getting that once Nyx is in. We're going to get that probably developed. Yeah.
All right.
Space Coder, you need something called an SDS hammer drill.
I have one. I specifically bought. I went to the hardware store and I was like, "Hello, I just bought an apartment in a panel building, and I need to put up some paintings and some shelves. I need a device for this." And they were like, "Here, this is the device. Good luck."
What was it? Was it a Hitachi?
No,
No, sorry. A lot of people on the internet think of Hitachi as that thing. But no, Hitachi is a conglomerate that makes diggers, and air conditioning units, and TVs, and
the wand is just one of its products. I know, but it's like
yes.
It's funny that you mentioned that.
It's like an actual Bosch drill.
It isn't a Bosch. Okay.
It's still, it still took me half an hour to drill 2 holes to hang up a Lego thingy.
It shouldn't have, unless you had rebar, which then you.
I bought a device to find the rebar so I could dodge the rebar.
Wow.
But it just happens that the comrades who built this building just had a particularly good batch of concrete that day, because holy shit.
Was it built during the Cuban Missile Crisis? Where they were just like fuck.
We didn't care about the Cuban Missile Crisis. We had our own missile crisis.
Like it was just like me drilling, and I'm like, my neighbors are gonna kill me at the next HOA meeting. Because last time I did this on a Sunday, and now we're banned from drilling on a Sunday.
No, just no noise making on Sundays.
Mm-hmm. All right, the last question comes from Northern Trooper, who asks, Do you think there will be a limit to base building, or if the base building is big enough, will it require its own DGS instance?
Oh.
Probably. Maybe.
I wouldn't be
Depending on how
surprised.
crazy they feel.
I wouldn't be surprised if they're instanced. They're fully instanced, completely removed from the from it. At least initially, and then when you get to them, you have to kind of like go into the instance, sort of thing.
Like the Valakar battles are going to be instanced. They pretty much said that. So they could be leaning heavily towards instancing other things.
They've already talked about things like the instancing of the
subterranean missions,
and then also
whatever,
like Vandal like missions, that kind of stuff. So yeah.
You kind of have to instance. You can't have everything be available to everyone, everywhere, all at once, because that way is just you're melting servers at that point.
Yeah, I think it would be too overkill, even on dynamic, like somebody's mentioning.
I love the chat. Is like comparing the defensibility against the handheld drill versus a missile attack seems unreliable to me. Yes, I had the right drill and the right drilling device. It's just
take a picture of that, Paul. That needs to be part of your highlights folder for 2025.
What, comparing the defensibility against the handheld drill versus a missile attack?
Comments file. Like comments show. Oh my gosh.
All right. Yeah,
it's a fair comment.
Yeah. I mean, I know commie block structures, and I know they were built basically to withstand a fucking tank round to them. So, so.
Look, the walls may be crooked.
Interested, if you're interested in the brutalist sort of architecture, there is a series of monuments in what used to be Yugoslavia that are basically just concrete and stainless steel cladding and shit like that, and they are
Yugoslavia. You mean the loose coupling of nationalities that hate each other with passion.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah,
that used to be a vacation spot for some reason.
But that's just Europe.
That is kind of you just described humanity.
Pretty much.
That was the last question of the day. Thank you so much for coming out. Thank you for this wonderful thing. Someone did say something. I was kind of finishes up this one because someone said like you all seem to be saying like talking about how base building's coming this year, and they said they didn't believe that the base building's coming this year. I will say that, and I think we already said this. I said that I believe we're going to see base building this year, but in a tier 0 way. In a couple of shacks and an extractor, a generator, a generic building, and an extractor, and maybe that building also has a fabricator, like because they seem to be very interested in getting it tested this year, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case.
We've seen their like gray box designs for other sort of buildings, but there's no guarantee that those also have the functionality that they're supposed to have, or if they're just assets that a 3D modeler put together over a weekend.
Yep.
So
based off of the conversations that people had at CitizenCon, those were all in engine. They were all in game. They were working. They were
sure.
So yeah. But the question is like
if they're working. That's a different
The question is more like, does the UI work for the drones, and is the drone physicalized, and all the like those sorts of things, the connecting tissue that makes a build a base. So
for tier 0, if you like really wanted to go with the drone way, you could not physicalize them and just kind of be like, yeah, you can build X buildings at once with this at this speed, and you could have virtual drones, just not like physical drones, and that kind of removes one level of complexity.
Yeah. But also, who's going to create the organization called Build a Base Workshop?
Gee, George, wow.
That's one of the puns. You really missed it. Build a Base Workshop. That's the name of one of those things. On that, I'm going to end it there. This is the Darsh can end on a pun. Thank you for watching. Make sure you check out jrdf.sc, where you can find Darsh's wonderful models turned into glorious 3D models you can purchase and paint, and assemble and paint. Check out the Armory, and I always forget the other one. It's the Hauler. Yeah, the Hauler. And of course, the Space Coder on YouTube. Check out Axis 0096 on Kick, YouTube, Twitch, and Rumble. And of course, if you enjoyed this,
and 1-to-100 kit of the Raven launching on Valentine's Day for everyone. That's the plan. Don't hold me to it if we fail. We're just running on CIG time at this point.
The plan is a 1-to-1 Saber Raven kit for so if you want to get yourself a Saber Raven, model. Yeah. Not a 1-to-1.
Not a 1-to-1. No.
1-to-100. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was say 1-to-1 kit.
like the one we made for CIG for Frankfurt was 1-to-8.
Yeah.
And that was big enough already.
But if you did enjoy this, make sure you hit that follow button here on Twitch. Subscribe to us on YouTube, and if you're watching this after the fact on the other YouTube, make sure you're subscribing to the Captain's Table Podcast YouTube. The other YouTube. That is where this is eventually going to be moving over.
One we mean.
This is where this is eventually going to be moving over for the live as well. So make sure you subscribe there if you want to continue watching this live. And if you're listening to this on Spotify, follow the podcast there, and make sure you leave a rating. I'd love to have that, and leave a rating and leave a comment. I read every comment. I mean, I respond to every comment, but I do read them. So I want to hear your thoughts down below. And as always, I'd like to thank you for watching. And like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black.
And if you leave a